right, man up for a minute. I'm gonna get everything set up. Be right back. Go before we get going.
Tapping the shit out of this motherfucker.
Oh my god, I'm fucking back. All right. Holy shit. I see Riddle's in here. Yay! All right, we're live there. All right. Likes. Let's get them likes.
Wyatt's already asked you a question, Pardo.
Oh man. Oh no, he ain't recovered. Probably wants to hear it from old Pardo though.
Yeah, I think Pardo's got us muted at the moment.
All right, we're live and live in color. What's going on, everybody? It's pregame warm up.
I was waiting for Pardo to unmute so he can reply to Wyatt.
Got to stretch our legs. All right. What's up? What's everybody doing? Riddle got a fresh haircut. Yeah, he's trying, boy. He's trying to look good for y'all.
Sure did. Birthday's in 4 days, so had to look good for my birthday.
How do we feel about the CFB project? All right, we're going to get into it. 30 minutes, Joe. 30 minutes. We got a podcast. We're going to get one more member of our team on here. We're going to jump into that 30 minutes from now, 8:30. Just a little pregame. I don't want to spoil it. That's the only reason why we're not. But it is. We do have opinions. We've got some good opinions, actually.
Just put $9.79 on that thing.
Pardo, use them fingers. I know you're all about it. Come on.
Pardo's in his own little world right now.
I know.
I don't know what he's doing.
He over there. Those sweet nothings.
I know what he's doing. He's looking up his Illinois stats. So he can give us
that's important. That's important stuff. That's important stuff right there.
Short and sweet.
Hey, you said that last week. Then you're like, you went on this tirade.
Nah.
Did you see Wyatt ask you a question?
Wyatt asked you a question,
what?
Tony. He wants to know. Inquiring minds need to know.
He said, "Has Pardo recovered from the loss yet?"
Hell, I never get down.
He never gets down.
I don't stay hurt.
Hey, what's
Hello,
up,
Courtney?
What's up, Courtney? Hey, there's Kippy. What's going on, Kippy? How are you, brother?
What's up, Kippy?
Hey, like I said, we got about 30 minutes before we jump into this, but AJ McCarron, I saw he was released. I think he's going to retire finally. I mean,
wait, was he in the league?
Didn't he come out and say that he wanted
the Battlehawks?
he wanted to get signed. He wanted to get signed by the team that's about to play him, just so he could put it on him once.
I think so.
I think that's what I heard.
I mean, he had a decent career as a backup. I mean, dude, freaking, I mean, he made good money. I mean, the league minimum for veterans is I think he played 11 years in the league or something like that. Maybe not. Maybe it's 10. I can't remember. His son came from school.
Came home from school and told him. That's a shitty way to find out.
I didn't hear that. I did not hear that. Just get ready. The beatdown of Hoosiers is going to put on. Man, Kippy, I hope Ohio State wins. I just play. I hope Indiana wins. I do. I really do.
Hey, Kippy, you know what? I'll wait until we get into it because it's something I looked up today, and it's in my notes, and I'm ready to discuss it. And I'm gonna wait, Kippy. I just hope you stick around, buddy.
In all honesty, Kippy, I I really do hope. I hope it happens. I hope it happens that way. 100%. I hope Indiana freaking just tears him a new asshole. And I hope it ain't even close. I hope it's such a bad beating that Tony's wearing an Indiana shirt by the time he gets on here Saturday night.
Not going that far, no.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping
Not going that far. I have no Indiana gear, so someone had to send me something if you want me to wear that, because I would not be buying
We'll
that.
have to let season play out. A lot going to happen next 2 weeks. Yeah, there is a lot going to happen.
Sure is.
There is a lot of this stuff's going to sort itself out, and we'll be A-okay. Is Pardo excited to watch the Vols play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl? Oh man, is that sponsored by Levis?
I have no idea.
Oh, Will Levis, that stud. OSU just lost their center. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Their top, it says top Ohio State O-line, McLaughlin ruptures Achilles.
Yep. Yeah,
Hey,
he's
man.
out.
What day is the Army-Navy game? The Army-Navy game will be the weekend after the championship weekend.
What the hell's going on here?
Should be the same weekend as the Heisman ceremony. Historically, that's where it's always been. Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready for a good show. Yeah, the Army-Navy game. I just posted on TikTok the Navy uniforms for that game. They look pretty good. Texas has the easiest schedule in the SEC. Yeah, I mean,
and I'll break that down too.
I was watching. I can't remember. It was somebody, one of the analysts. It was Oklahoma. It was Oklahoma Alabama breakdown, and they were like, as excited as we were to come into the league, we didn't realize how big the SEC was. This is an analyst for Oklahoma. He goes, but I think if we would have had Texas schedule, we probably would feel better about the SEC right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, they're clearly not as good as Texas, but.
Well, we got another Indiana fan in here, or at least pulling for Indiana this weekend. And then Wyatt said, when is Georgia going to rename their stadium to Stetson Bennett Stadium?
Hey, man, you might as well. I mean, you might
I
as well.
know. I said, build that man a trophy. He won back-to-back national titles. A statue, not a trophy. You can make him a trophy, too, for all I care. But, yeah, build that man a statue outside the stadium. He's a living legend. Should never have to buy a drink in Athens again. But
he doesn't need a drink. No one needs to buy him a drink.
Yeah, actually, yeah. He should probably stay sober. But he did get that pappy after winning the first national championship.
Yeah.
I think they should just make like a WWE belt for him. That's what I think.
Like the one Cody Rhodes had on game day.
Yeah. Tennessee will be thanking the Hoosiers after this weekend. I hope so. As SEC fans, we would love nothing more to have 5 teams in the playoffs.
I actually think that Ohio State losing that game is going to hurt the SEC more than it's helping them. Because they're not going to drop Ohio State out.
Yeah,
that just means Indiana stays. And honestly, I think that even if Indiana loses, depending on how they lose, they might stay in. So.
There's no way they'll let Ohio State ever fall out. Ever.
Too big of a brand.
Yeah. They don't give 2 fucks about the better team being in. They just, so they're all about the money. What's going to bring in the most money? What team will bring in the most money?
Oh, it's a business. That's 100%. Ryan Day is going to get fired if Ohio State doesn't win the Natty. Oh, I don't know about that now.
Oh, man, I forgot I had all these.
Wyatt goes, did Pardo watch the Titans game? They look really good.
No, I will not be watching any Titans game the rest of the year. No point in asking anymore about the Titans. Because Mr. Pardo will not be watching any Titans games. I made it 2 weeks in a row now without watching it. So, I've had my Sundays have been better.
I got a Buffs fan. We got a Buffs fan in here. Let's see here. The committee say they would consider putting a 3-round. I don't think they can answer that yet, Chris. I don't think they can answer that effectively yet. It depends on what happens around them. I mean, in all honesty,
I got a surprise for you today.
What if a 3-loss team wins the title? You know what I mean? I mean, if a
Well,
three
with
loss,
where
go ahead.
I just think where the SEC's at, if any of those teams lose another one, it's going to be very hard for them to justify keeping them in just because of where they got them ranked.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, we'll go into a more of a discussion again on this committee and the things they're doing, trying to save their ass by pinning themselves in a fucking corner. They got bailed out last week, but
Yeah, we got a Dogs fan in here,
that's right. Go Dogs, baby.
and then
General Booty.
Wyatt wants to know what's the update on the Biscuit League, Tony.
I'm still in first place in the Biscuit League. Everybody had a shit week last week, but I'm still number one. And Tony is not as close to the bottom as he was, but he's still down there.
Doesn't matter. I won't be there long.
You got 2 weeks left.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Chris, I would say that they've got as good a chance as anybody in the ACC. I do feel like they're going to have to win the ACC to get in, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But beating Miami in that conference championship game is not like, I don't think that's going to be too difficult to do. I mean, it's not out of the question. I think they can.
Will the Vols make the playoffs? I'm going to go on a limb and say the Vols do make the playoffs. If we're being honest. We're being honest with ourselves. Tennessee is set up just to make the playoffs. They've got Massachusetts and they've got freaking Vanderbilt. Is it Vols got who do y'all play? Who the Vols play? Not Massachusetts. Y'all don't play Massachusetts. It's Georgia, isn't it?
UTSA, I think.
UTSA. Okay.
UTEP.
Yep, sorry. I apologize. I had Georgia on my mind, but yeah.
Most people do, buddy.
I understand. Haters gotta hate. Vols are in for sure. As a Bama fan, I'm a Bama fan, obviously, and I got Tennessee in. At the end of the day, they put everybody where they wanted to put them. I think we all can agree if any of these teams with 2 losses in the SEC lose, they're out. So they control their own destiny right now, and essentially what's going to happen is Tennessee's going to win the next 2 games, and they'll be in. That's what'll happen. So I don't think Notre Dame's going to hurt them, really. I don't think so.
I hope one of our teams draws Notre Dame in the first round.
And Chris says he thinks his Tigers may lose to Vandy. Oh, dude, LSU, I don't know what happened. That's what we call the paper tiger. I don't know, but they started out with some high hopes in terms of, like, after the USC loss, they went on a tear, and they have come apart, man. Brian Kelly, this year reminds me of that last year Ed Orgeron, where it just seems like he lost the team. I don't know.
Yeah, that there's something going on down in Baton Rouge, but it's not good. Sometimes you get that, though. You get all these, 5 and 4 star recruits that are all about themselves, and they're prima donnas, man.
So here
Go ahead.
If Indiana loses to Ohio State, should they be out?
Depends on how they lose.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. That is the perfect answer. So how they lose matters. If they lose bad, I think they're out.
Yep.
Because they'll prove they don't belong. I mean, that's just going to be look how many viewers you're at. Oh, hell yeah. Hey, guys, if you're new here, first time around, if you can, please like and follow. Like I said, we're trying to build a community up, and we do this every Wednesday and Saturday night. Like I said, we'll begin at 8:30. It'll be the podcast portion. Yeah, if they lose big, I think that's a fair assessment. Riddle hit that on the head. Go Clemson Tigers. Ah, man, Clemson's fighting an uphill battle, man. At least this year. See here. Somebody made a comment earlier, Riddle, and I'll just say it out loud. He said they're going to manipulate the rankings to make sure it's profitable. So he said there's no way Boise gets a bye. I tend to agree with that. I think they will manipulate the rankings. They want to generate revenue. That's the only reason why they're doing this. Make no mistake.
But that Big 12 is, depending on what happens. I mean, say Colorado wins it. Let's see. Colorado is currently 16th Are you going to jump them all the way into the top 10 if they win the Big 12?
No, I wouldn't. I thought you know how
Then-
I feel about the Big 12.
I'm telling you, the way this is setting up is with Boise State where they're at. Boise State has a good shot to hang on to that first round bye with the way this committee has ranked everything.
Thank you for following, Big Hunt. Rebel said, "Bring Indiana to Oxford. We'll show them what's up." Wyatt wants to know what Tony's smiling about. He said he's got that damn grin on his face.
Just happy to be here.
How much would Ohio State have to lose by to be out? Ohio State.
Hell, I mean, that'd be a shutout and lose by 50. How about that? They're not going to.
I mean, it would have to be. It would have to be a lot, and even I don't know if it's possible for them to lose bad enough to be completely out. To be honest with you, and that's what's crazy. I mean, the 1 point loss to Oregon is a great loss right now because with some help from the committee, Oregon.
They don't really have a resume, but they did beat Penn State, so we got to give them credit for beating Penn State. And then bottom line is Penn State plays no one else the rest of the season. So if Ohio State loses one more game, it would be to a ranked Indiana team that's ranked in the top 5. So how are you going to penalize them for 2 top 5 losses and have Georgia in there with pretty much the same resume? I know Georgia's schedule is way harder, but I'm just saying I got a feeling that they're not going to take them out. I'm with those guys. I don't think they move them.
Yeah, this committee has put a lot of weight on that road win at Penn State for whatever reason. But
exactly right here, fucking Penn State. Exactly. Who the fuck have they beat? Who have they played? Yeah.
Kivy said that's
Trash.
why Tennessee better hope Notre Dame loses.
That's a team that also shouldn't be in the fucking playoffs. They lost to Northern Illinois early this season. Who the hell they beat? But whatever. It is what it is.
First off, if there's ever a team that's going to get the benefit of the doubt more than anybody else, it's going to be Notre Dame. It's going to be Notre Dame.
For sure.
The only team that doesn't have to be in a conference and still be considered like almost a shoe-in. If they don't have more than 2 losses, they're probably going to be in every year. Thank you for following, Johnson. We appreciate you. It's going to be interesting, though. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great year. Like I said, we're going to close out. It's going to be fun. Everybody controls their own destiny for the most part, so it's going to be very interesting to see how we play out and finish.
For the most part, there's a really good team sitting there that really doesn't control anything anymore.
Oh, yeah. It's like coaches say, you can make a schedule, you just have to play it. They do make the schedule, though. I mean, obviously, they set these a lot of these games in motion. And see, the thing is people always want to talk about the SEC's out of conference schedule, but the SEC still has to play each other. And you can see there's 8 teams right now in the playoffs, top 25 from the SEC. So we can stand on our laurels and say our conference is very tough to play in.
For sure.
And do we think there's actually a team in the SEC that's as bad as Purdue and Northwestern?
Not this year. No, not this year. I don't think State's as bad.
Mississippi State would give them run for their fucking money.
Oh,
I mean, I agree, but
beat them.
I think me and Jordan talked about that. I think he sent that out to us about the favorites. If
they are,
yeah,
they're an FCS powerhouse, buddy.
Hey, Mercer's just as good as Purdue. Don't want to hear it.
Mercer would beat Purdue.
Probably.
I just want to go back and catch this one. Big Hunt said if Army beats Notre Dame is out, period. Losses to Army not being in a conference is a killer.
That would be correct.
Yeah, I think if Notre Dame slips up anywhere, if they lose to USC next week, they're out.
And I'm all for it.
Yeah, I would love to see them get knocked out.
Yeah.
I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I have never been a Notre Dame fan. I knew in 2012, going back that far, that the winner of the SEC championship game was going to steamroll them in the national championship game.
Let's see here. What are you talking about, Mercer? Oh, come on, Mizzou. That's a joke.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Hey, Kippy. Hey, I'm saying
Kippy
that
is
earlier.
right. That's exactly right.
That's damn
and we're
right.
gonna talk about it. It's the committee. It was a couple of the
Bullshit.
moves that the committee has made to try to save face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would have loved. I wish Wisconsin would have beat Oregon last week.
Yes.
Because then I wanted to see what the committee would have done, because they backed themselves in a corner, and I keep saying that. But had Oregon lost to Wisconsin, I would have loved to have seen how the committee scrambled to try to fix that situation.
So should Texas be at 3? Only loss is Georgia, and their best win is Vandy. That's up for debate. I mean, the problem is they've only got one loss though. So I mean, like, bottom line is all the teams that are behind them didn't do what they needed to do, essentially. But I ain't gonna make excuses because Texas is gonna have a shot to show who they are, and said they'll either get exposed. Go ahead.
I mean, there's still an avenue where they lose 2 more games.
Yeah.
So
Let's see here.
depending on the chaos.
I really just hope to see at least one more storming of the field on UT Stadium. It's almost become like Toomer's Corner. Storming the field at Neyland Stadium is like Toomer's Corner now.
Yeah,
Thank you for
we know
following.
how to party. We're not lame fucks. We like to have a good time.
I agree with Jason. He said all the 8 through 12. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them, 8 through 12, would beat the 1 through 4.
Yeah, we're
going to get to see some of those matchups based off of those conference champions, automatic bids, and the buys. We're going to get to see some of those matchups.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the deal. Like, I actually do like Oregon, mainly because I like Dan Lanning. I think he can come up with a scheme as good as anybody. Obviously, they had a rough game. Everybody in the top 25 has had a rough game, so we can't sit here and act like everyone's immune to having a bad game. We've all had bad games, but I like Oregon, but I don't like anybody else in the Big Ten. At some point,
so tired of hearing something like that. Like,
what is it?
Simple answer: win, and you don't have to worry about other schedules. So, all right. So there's always going to be teams with multiple losses. You know, like not everybody can go undefeated. So there's going to be people that are out. That's why certain things need to be looked at into who actually deserves to be on the playoff format. Because right now it's trash. There's no consistency anywhere. No one really knows how they do this shit. No one knows what the criteria is. They're just making up shit as they go, apparently.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't want to hear about the simple answer, just win. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's easy to say if you're Ohio State and Oregon right now because you literally have, almost left out Indiana.
Yeah, it is.
But you literally have nothing else in there. Don't give me Penn State either. They're weak shit. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
What was Tennessee's
and Illinois is a piece of shit team too. I'll mention them later.
It's the first year. It's a buffer year. Oregon.
I mean, I would have been okay. I would have been okay if this last college football playoff ranking that came out. I know, obviously, Tony wouldn't agree with this, but I'm speaking from a Georgia fan's perspective. Where we're seated at right now, and who we would play, we would go to Penn State first, and then once we, knock them out, we would go and play Miami in the quarterfinal, which again is a favorable matchup. I feel like for Georgia.
Oh yeah. And
then in the semifinal, we would play Indiana, Ole Miss, or Texas. So
not bad.
And then Alabama would get Notre Dame first. So
we love that. South Carolina in the ACC is a one-loss team at worst. Yeah, I agree with that. I think South Carolina could almost run the ACC right now with this year's team.
South Carolina's playing good ball. They still get to play Clemson, and
so we'll get to see.
That'll be a big game for them.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. You always get teams like Penn State that just cruise by easy every year. I mean, yeah. I just find
Kippy, I would love to go to Happy Valley because it doesn't matter. It could be 5 degrees and a foot of snow, and Georgia would still rout them.
Yeah, you have a choke artist coach too. Don't forget that. Let's not forget he doesn't win any big time games against ranked teams. So let's not forget about that.
Oh no, there's no SEC bias, little Buckeye.
No
SEC bias. We've given the Oregon, Ohio State, we've given them their credit. we're going to call it how we see it on the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I said Oregon's a really good team. I said Oregon's a really good team. Yeah, Oregon's a really good team. If you look me in the face and you tell me that Penn State's a good team, I mean that's pretty sad. Ohio State has more talent than anyone. It's the best talent money could buy. So they have no reason to not be good. They've spent more money than any team.
Looking at the bracket right now, Oregon's got the most wins against current playoff teams of anybody. And Ohio State this weekend has a chance to tie them with that. Georgia's got to win over Texas. Ole Miss has got to win over Georgia. Alabama's got to win over Georgia. And that's it.
You got to remember, though, Buckeye, everybody's buying talent, but no one spent $20 million on talent except for Ohio State in the offseason. I mean, that's just a fact, man. They spent more money than anybody.
Steve, we're going to be covering that game when we start the podcast, but I would be very impressed. I'll just leave it at that for now if Indiana goes into the horseshoe and wins.
Yeah, we're going to be making our predictions. Like I said, I think the thing is we all want to jump on the Indiana bandwagon. We're just hesitant. Teams like Penn State over the course of generations and years have tends us to lean away from everybody that's not Ohio State or like Michigan, because essentially all those teams lose to Ohio State. Like they go in, you think they're going to have a shot and they get beat. So it's like, is Indiana for real? Well, we haven't seen much in terms of competition yet, but this is the real deal right here.
I don't know. You know, I've tried to buy in to
Richard.
A few teams this year, Kippy. I do still like Indiana.
Buckeye, we're going to be talking about Notre Dame Army too. That's going to be our second game we touch on. Like I said, we're just waiting at 8:30. We're going to start a podcast portion of the live. We do this is all for a podcast that we do, and so we're going to get into all that. We just don't want to unveil too much before then.
Yeah, we're just waiting for our front porch rocking chair to show up.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
that's a good point. The South Carolina UGA rivalry is gone. Yeah, that's part of the problem with the SEC doing some of the things they did. You lost a lot of rivalries.
I agree with that, little Buckeye. You said horrible schedule for Indiana, but they're winning by big margins. They are. The Michigan win I was their worst showing, if you want to call it that, of the year. I mean, they've done what they were supposed to do against the teams that they played. And I mean, we understand that. You don't – at the beginning and I was watching a video earlier, and they were talking about Indiana's schedule. If you looked at it at the time that Cignetti was hired at the end of the day after the national championship game, their schedule actually looked tough this year. Nobody knew Saban was going to retire. That means DeBoer left Washington, and then all their players transferred out of there. There was a lot of things that changed it. You know, nobody knew Harbaugh was going to the NFL. All his players left out of there. So at the time that they hired Cignetti, you know, you would think that their schedule was going to be tough. But again, you play who you play, and how you win matters and everything. But yeah, their strength of schedule is pretty weak.
So, question was, if Army beats Notre Dame, are they in the playoffs then? I think if Army goes undefeated.
Well, you think about it. So your top 5 conference champions, highest rank, get in. If Army beats Notre Dame, they're gonna jump up there.
If they beat Notre Dame, they should be
a big win.
They should be over Boise State to me.
Boise State's still got to win their conference first.
Yeah, Boise State.
I know it's Colorado State, but Colorado State's undefeated in that conference this year.
Yeah, there you go.
So anything could happen there. You know, Boise State might lose and not even make it. So
yeah, if
there's still a lot that's going to play out here.
Yeah, but yes, to answer your question, if you're asking me, the old common guy from across the room, if Army beats Notre Dame should be out. And at the end of the day, out of conference, Army should jump over Boise State.
I would agree with that. I mean, even though we want to talk about schedules, there's 134 teams in Division I football. Army's schedule ranks 133rd.
Yeah, but they got a ranked win.
But yeah, coming down the stretch, I mean, they're going to have to play. I mean, say they beat Notre Dame, then they're going to go to their conference championship and play Tulane, which is a ranked team. So that would be back-to-back ranked wins if they win both of those, and that would skyrocket them up. So, I mean, there's still so much that can play out. And I know we talk about these playoff rankings and everything, but there's still 2 more weeks to go, plus conference championships. So, I mean, if chaos reigns, all this could change here in a couple weeks.
Maybe chaos will reign. Maybe. Like I said,
I would like to see a little chaos. Georgia needs a little chaos.
We got about 5 minutes, guys, and we're going to get going. We're waiting on one more for the panel. And then once we get him in here, we'll take off and run with the podcast. Like I said, appreciate everybody for being here. If you would like to, please follow and obviously share the live. Give us some of them hearts. They're free. They don't cost any money. And like I said, we're going to try to build this brand up. Thank you for following Buckeye. Like I said, we're trying to build this community up.
Little Buckeye, the thing about that is part of the whole 12-team playoff and the selection and all that, there was a stipulation put in that the Army and Navy game has no bearing on the rankings and stuff. So Army could literally get in, win their conference and get in, and then lose to Navy, and they would still be in.
All right. So there you have it. That's pretty significant.
Yeah. That game has no bearing on the playoff selection.
Why? You know Tony very well, don't you? You know him very well. He said he can't wait to hear his 30-minute rant on the Illinois game.
It's not going to be 30. Not this time.
Big LSU fan here. Them boys need to start winning some games. Yeah, we talked about that just a second ago. Like, I don't know what the hell happened down there, man.
There's something going on down there. I don't know. I've never really been a big fan of Kelly as a coach, but
yeah, I don't like Kelly either. Something about him, man. I just do not. What you saw on the field when he was sitting over there, like, I seen Saban chew people up and fucking down, but there was almost like a command respect moment about it. Brian Kelly just seems like a punk for some reason.
I loved Ed Orgeron though.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved him.
Ed Orgeron was freaking epic, dude. Go Tiger.
That's it.
Tony, inquiring minds would like to know who would win between Illinois and Missouri. Battle of the best teams.
Hell, that might be one of the games that go on for years and years. Hell, it may never end. OT after OT, 2-point conversion.
There he is.
There's old Jordy.
Or failed 2-point conversion after failed 2-point conversion. Who knows? Both are bonus.
Hell, South Carolina could only have one loss. They had 2 very close losses. So
yeah, they did. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let me see if I can get this back going here quick. And then we'll...
Big Hunt. No, that's a good comment.
What did he say?
He said, it's 2 words. Brian Kelly. He will win you 9 or 10 games, but lose the biggest ones. Mark Richt 2.0.
Mark Richt 2.0. There we go.
I loved Mark Richt. I got that football right there is signed by Mark Richt. I love Mark Richt. Uh-oh.
Oh, damn. Just give us just a second. Yeah.
There he is.
You give the boot.
You hit the wrong button, huh?
You hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
Hey, that's just so you know, Tony, you get out of line tonight just that fast, you can be gone.
Out of line. No, I'll be in line. Don't worry.
Coca-Cola, I agree with that. Rick is better than Kelly.
Yeah, I would give Rick the nod over Kelly.
Absolutely.
I just can't.
Rick was a player's coach. He did things the right way.
Not a Brian Kelly fan.
I love Mark Richt.
All right. Like I said, guys, we're about to get started. About 3 minutes. Give me just a second.
maybe that's why I don't like Butch Jones, because Butch Jones come off as an arrogant prick too.
Hey, brick by brick, baby.
Well, he learned it from the best.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was saying. Like, hell, he came from that tree. So,
he rode his coattails till.
Yeah, but like,
if I'm surprised that Notre Dame didn't go get Butch Jones after they, Rick left.
Man, I wish they really did, because we wouldn't have to be talking about him.
that would have been classic moments.
I wish they would have. We never had to talk about Notre Dame being in the playoffs or anything, because they for sure.
Well, we got to get Wyatt a winner this week.
Yeah, we gotta get Wyatt some winners. Come on, Wyatt, we gotta get you some winners, brother.
Hey, all three of those last week were the right side. just don't always pan out.
Just all right. We're about to get going, guys. Thank you for everybody for being here. Thank you. We're about to get started on the podcast portion. So if you have a comment, these guys are going to be watching the comments. They're going to be picking comments in and out as we go, but we got a lot to get through, a lot of information to get into. So if you can be patient with us, we'll have some time at the end to kind of shoot the shit with you guys. But at the end of the day, like I said, this is for y'all. And so we want to make sure we get all y'all's comments and everything out of the way the best we can. So with that said, we're going to get started on the podcast and we're going to take off. All right, welcome back to Lock, Loaded, and Goated. I'm your host, Brandon Andrews, accompanied by Tony Pardo at the top, Jeff Riddle in the middle, and Jordan Elkins at the bottom. And this is Wednesday's Weekend Roundup. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the hosts. We're going to start off hot this week. We got some topics we're going to go over, and we're going to start it out kind of light. We're going to start out light because the other topic's going to be a little hectic and crazy. So we're going to start out with the Heisman race. Who do we think pulls away with it down the stretch? We're going to give it to the guy who values the Heisman over anything else, and that's Jordan Elkins. Go ahead, Jordan.
Lord have mercy. I mean, it's got to be Travis Hunter. I mean, guys, hands down, the best player in football. I'm telling you right now, it will be Travis Hunter. I mean, I've watched the way the markets have been moving on this. I mean, who else would you put there?
No, I mean that's a valid point. It's funny because a couple of weeks ago we were not saying he was the one, and I'm not suggesting that we said he was bad because no one on this panel said he was ever a bad football player. It just didn't seem like that was going his way. But the minute Cam Ward lost a game, some other chaos, and Gabriel had a bad game, it's like everybody went to hell, and then Travis Hunter's right back. Game. Travis is right back at the top. So.
I mean, let's be honest. One of the very first episodes, Jeff's first one said, "Hey, Travis Hunter is the best player in college football." I mean, and he was.
Yeah, he did.
Now, it didn't look like he was going to be valued in that role. I mean, because let's face it, it's a quarterback, running back kind of award usually with the Heisman. So
I can see what kind of night this is going to be with Wyatt. Wyatt's got jokes tonight. So with that said, Riddle, who you got? I mean, it's pretty much.
Yeah, man. I've said from the beginning he deserves it. Travis Hunter. I pulled 3 odds from 3 different sites: Fox Sports, FanDuel, and ESPN, and they all basically got it down to just a 2-person race. It's Travis Hunter's the favorite in all 3 of them. Genty's a little bit behind, and then there's a huge drop off after that. Hunter's the biggest Heisman favorite in the final 2 weeks of the regular season since Joe Burrow in 2019. But when I was looking this up, I like interesting stats and stuff. There's been some recent Heisman favorites down the stretch at the end of the season that didn't win. 2023, it was Bo Nix. He was minus 185 going into the conference championship game. 2021 was C.J. Stroud. He was minus 200 entering week 13. 2020 was an interesting year because Kyle Trask was minus 125 entering the final week of the regular season, and then Mac Jones was minus 200 entering the conference championship game. 2018, Tua was minus 750 entering week 13, minus 1,000 entering the conference championship game. Andrew Luck in 2011, Colt McCoy in 2009, Tua in 2018. They were all favorites heading into the conference championship game and did not win. So, but yeah, my guy, it's got to be Travis Hunter. He's playing 95% of the snaps every game, every week. Nobody in the nation does what he does. Nobody in football does what he does. And his importance to that team can't be undervalued or understated. So, yeah, Hunter's my guy. So,
all right. Well put.
Hey, slide your camera over this little Jeff.
Oh yeah, he's moving. That's why. LeVar
LeVar
in the chat.
Your face is dead on the head.
LeVar in the
like
chat.
It's split right down your nose.
LeVar in the chat said Cam Ward has better numbers than the previous Heisman, but Travis Hunter wasn't in the previous Heisman races either. So that's a difference.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Kias. He said hi to us.
Yeah.
But Cam Ward had a chance against Georgia Tech to kind of have one of those Heisman top moments there at the very end. And instead of leading them down to the win, even though they shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, he was sacked and fumbled, and the game was over. So I think that hurt him too. He had a moment and missed the opportunity.
Yeah, mistake.
Every year you look back to the winner. You'll have that Heisman moment. And that was his chance, and he blew it. And their schedule, there's really nothing else left the rest of the way, especially now already having a loss that'll build that back up.
Yeah. Tony, you got anything to add before we move on?
No. Pretty much, it's going to be Travis Hunter. The only two legit candidates are Hunter and Genty. I think everyone else is kind of just falling off a cliff. You can just forget about Gabriel. Was never high on him anyways, just because he played for Oregon. People thought he deserved it because they had the best team, I guess. That's a bunch of BS. But Genty's going to remain in it. Hell, he still almost had 1,900 yards on the ground. And he's still chasing Barry, so he's still going to get love from that. But Hunter, he does on both sides of the ball. Literally plays every snap. No one's ever done that. Don't give me no Charles Woodson bullshit, because Charles Woodson never had the impact that Hunter ever had on the offense side of the ball. So I don't want to hear that. So yeah, for my money, if I was going to bet, it'd be Travis Hunter right now.
All right.
And it's probably going to be Hunter when it's all said and done. So
this is.
I think the only thing that keeps Hunter out is if he was to get hurt.
Injury. Injury.
Yeah,
that's it.
If he stays healthy, I just don't see. With Genty, Genty had to, in my opinion, hit that record to have a shot.
Yeah, especially with the competition he's had this year. Wyatt has the question of the night so far, and it's: do you guys think Carson Beck's girlfriend should dump him if they don't make the playoffs? I think so. That's what I think. Anyway, all in good fun.
No, she needs to ride that ship down. That's her fault.
She didn't ride it hard enough last week, though. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's it.
She didn't wear him out enough. All right.
This motherfucker, he ain't focused on the foosball.
All right.
He worried about what Vicky Valancourt.
Vicky Valancourt's the devil.
Oh man! So now we're gonna get into some little bit of a heated topic here: the SEC current standings and the SEC title game scenarios explained. So we're going to go into what needs to happen in order for each team to go, and then who are left in the running realistically, because there's quite a few. And Riddle, we're going to hand it off to you.
All right, I spent a lot of time on this earlier today.
Yeah,
and it took a lot of time to sort this all out, because realistically, there are 6 teams that could still go to Atlanta and play in the SEC championship game. 2 of those teams, Tennessee and Ole Miss, have very, very, very small windows. Everything has to go perfect. Everything has to go perfect. Oh, I know, but everything has to go perfect. There's only 3 teams that control their destiny. That's Alabama, Texas, and Texas A&M. If those teams went out, obviously Texas and Texas A&M play each other. But if one of those teams and then Alabama went out, they're in. That's the easiest path. If the top 6 teams all end up tied at 6-2, then Alabama and Georgia would go to the title game.
All right.
Any tiebreaker involving Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, A&M, or Texas favors Georgia based on the conference opponent's winning percentage. Crazy scenario. This is that chaos scenario. If all home teams win the rest of the way, meaning Texas beats Kentucky, A&M beats Texas, Auburn beats A&M, you get what I'm saying. You can look all this up. If all the home teams went out, then Georgia and Texas A&M would play in the SEC championship game. For Tennessee needs an Alabama, Texas, and Texas A&M loss. And then they would play Georgia in the SEC championship game. Ole Miss, it's even crazier. Ole Miss needs an Alabama, Texas, and Texas A&M loss, but they have to lose in the right scenario. So, and Oklahoma would have to beat LSU with A&M beating Texas for Texas's loss, which means A&M would have to lose to Auburn this week, and then it would be Ole Miss and Georgia. So Georgia's just sitting there, but they have a lot of pass. Now, the one that I didn't write down that we talked about earlier this week is if Missouri were to lose both of their games and everybody else wins out, then based off of conference winning percentage, the winner of Texas and Texas A&M would play Georgia in the SEC championship game. So there's a lot of paths for Georgia, but the simplest and most direct paths are for Alabama, Texas, and Texas A&M, and it's just win, baby.
Yeah. And just so you know, Wyatt said you had him solving equations trying to figure out who makes the SEC title game. So,
I'm telling you, it's wild. It's wild that it's that jumbled up.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
We should. It is, and we should have more clarity in the next couple of weeks going into it. Obviously,
and let's be honest, what does all this do? This makes you start to question the automatic qualifiers with the way that situation is poised to play out. I mean, there's a path where you have Colorado win the Big 12 and get left out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. 100%. 100%. This is not going to be clear. Tony, you got anything to add on this one?
No, that makes my brain hurt thinking about it. I got
Jordan,
nothing to say about that.
Jordan, you got anything before we go into this next topic?
No, let's move on.
All right, so now we're going to go into the real chaos, guys. We're going to start talking about playoff rankings. And like I said, first things first, just going down the list. I know this is a lot to kind of digest, but we're going to start the way I envision this, and you guys can jump in, obviously. But I envision we're just going to start down the list. And Tony, you get to go first. And when I come to a team that you disagree with, I want you to say stop. So, okay. Oregon #1.
Yeah.
Okay.
No arguments.
All right. Ohio State #2.
By default.
Still good. Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, I'm still good with that.
Texas #3.
I stop.
Okay. All right. Stop. Let's go.
Texas, they're 9-1. They have no wins versus the current top 25. Their strength of schedule is 38th. And the only top 25 team that they played at home and got beat handily. Now, obviously, they still get A&M. They still get a conference championship game if they win out. They'll have chances to prove it, so it's not like freak out big yet. But the fact that they're 3, and then Alabama's 7, Ole Miss is 9, Georgia's 10, and Tennessee is 11, when all of those teams have a better resume, is a little confusing to me. And I'll just leave it at that for now.
I guess it goes back to the number of losses. There's a value there in the actual schedule.
There's a huge value on winning, and I get that, and there should be to an extent. But
more value on the name, though.
That could be.
There's more value on it being on Texas.
That could be.
Yeah, they got one loss, so it makes them look even better. All right, Texas got only one loss. All right, yeah, let's put them in there, top 5.
Yeah, their best win is a 3-point win at Vandy.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on Texas before we go down to the old?
I have a feeling we're going to be stopping on the next one. Anyway,
Go ahead and start pumping the brakes right now.
Sandusky State.
Yep. Stop.
They're fucking terrible.
Stop.
I knew these boys were going to jump all over this.
Now, I'm just going to go through the list if they play. And I don't want to hear this crap of if you just win your game. Tennessee could play all these games, be undefeated right now. But that's still pathetic because you didn't play anybody. Bowling Green, won by Tutty. You had Kent State, blew them out of the water, but who hasn't? But Illinois, the team that's dog water, 21-7. That was an ugly game. That was home too. UCLA, you got USC, Wisconsin. That T-Pain would say. Ohio State, you get pretty much manhandled at home. You don't even have an offensive touchdown at home. Washington, but everyone. And Purdue, everyone's fucked them this year. They're like the hoe from high school. So that's not impressive. And now you got Illinois, and that was mentioned earlier. back in the top 25 ranked wise. And I feel like that's just to help poor old Penn State, to hang in there because they don't have it. They haven't done anything. They haven't beat a ranked team besides Illinois, but let's not brag about that because they shouldn't be a top 25 anyways. They're a terrible team. They're not a good team. I don't care what their record says. Sometimes all you got to do is a little eye test and say, hey, Illinois isn't that good. So you really can't take much from that. And what is their strength of schedule is, what do I have down here? Oh, yeah. 35th, right? But that's inflated by Ohio State. Okay? Literally. And I guess you can throw in there Illinois. Illinois helps them out, so that helps them.
Yeah.
And the rest of the season strength schedule is 48th. I'm not buying the Penn State thing. I don't care what anyone says. I don't want to hear anybody say, "Oh, SEC doesn't want to go up to Happy Valley and play," because I guarantee a lot of them would. The cold, a lot of the SEC teams are physical anyways. They run the ball, so I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal when it comes to that. It's just cold. Hell, it gets cold down here too. It's not that big a deal. The Penn Station's an inferior team. Just watching them and everything that's transpired over this year, there's nothing scary about Penn State. And Franklin's their head coach, so what does there really be worried about if you're playing Penn State?
It's true, man. He does struggle. He does struggle.
Sucks.
All right. So,
and I mean,
go ahead.
Nobody wants to go to Happy Valley because it's a shithole. I mean, they can't mow the damn grass. I mean, you're playing the damn hayfield. I mean, they're burning candles in the lights. I mean, that's why nobody wants to go there because it sucks.
It sucks. All right. So, segue, Tony, you gave us a riveting reaction to Penn State. So I'm gonna segue into Indiana, and I think Indiana has an argument. To be honest with you, they should be fourth. I know they haven't played anybody, but we just said that record matters. They're undefeated. Yeah. They're undefeated.
Yeah. I'm not going to hate them for that.
They should at least be over Penn State because Penn State has the same. Yeah. They have the same resume almost as Indiana. It's just now Indiana's going to play Ohio State, and obviously their schedule's going to get harder, and they have a chance to win it. Penn State did not. Indiana may not win it either. Then it'll be all in the wash, and it won't matter. But at the end of the day, I just can't believe an undefeated team is sitting there behind Penn State, who I think is an absolute paper tiger, as we like to call them on this show. All right. Anybody else got anything on Indiana before we go down to our next favorite?
I mean, you can make an argument that Indiana could be 3 too. I mean, I know Texas plays in the SEC,
yes,
but Texas and Indiana both have 0 wins against the top 25, the current top 25, and their strength of records is Texas is 5th, Indiana 6th. So I mean, outside of the strength of schedule, if wins matter, then they have an argument to even be up to 3rd. Now, they get a chance to prove themselves this weekend, and we'll cover that shortly.
Yeah. All right. Just looking at this. Going down. Next team is Notre Dame.
No, they're fucking awful too. I mean, you get beat by the 7th place team in the fucking MAC. I mean, it was early. I mean, what have they done since? They curb stomped fucking FSU. I mean, who hasn't? I think Bishop Sycamore beat them by 3 touchdowns last week. So,
oh my god.
On Notre Dame, their strength of schedule is 82nd. They do have the win over A&M at the very beginning of the year, and that win is going to hold some weight. And their strength of record is actually 13th. It is the lowest of the top 11 teams. So
now, answer me this question though. So that the A&M win is going to hold weight, right? So
for now,
why? Okay, but how are they ahead of Tennessee when Tennessee's beat Bama with a higher rank? So
it's like I've said for a couple weeks now. This committee backed themselves in the corner with the way they did these rankings, because some teams get judged one way, other teams get judged a different way. There's no set criteria that all of these teams are getting judged on equally. So
yeah,
I guess that you can say that. I guess you can say that Notre Dame in the category of wins mattering and record, just overall record, then that's why they are where they are.
Because the A&M game's honestly looking worse and worse.
Yeah.
They're looking like dog shit.
And
To be honest,
I wouldn't go that far, but
got a couple comments.
they're not looking as good as they did.
Couple
There's
comments.
a lot of comments going on amongst themselves right now.
Kentucky isn't any good, so I just want to make sure that we say that out loud. Kentucky is not good. It doesn't matter how many times you say Kentucky's name; they're not good at football this year. And then,
they're not good.
They're not Beetlejuice. The winner doesn't appear when you say it 3 times.
So, should we use the BCS computer? I think all of us have recommended going back to that system and putting a 12-team BCS computer together.
I mean, it ought to at least be at some part of the equation.
Yeah,
I mean, if you go back and look, when the BCS was a thing, you were trying to determine who were the top 2 teams in the nation, and that small of a sample, that can get convoluted and that can be tough, and that's where all the arguments came from. You're talking about the 12 best teams, and those computers, they put everything into it. Strength of schedule, strength of record, AP poll, coaches poll, other polls. I mean, they average it all out. So I would love to see it go back to the computer, because the thing about humans, and I'm not just calling this committee out, we've seen it with the other committees in the past, there's always going to be bias with human beings.
Yes.
There's always going to be.
Yes. So, okay. Well, we're going to go on to the next team. That's my boys. Go ahead. I'll wait. Alabama. Stop. I'll yell.
No,
stop.
I actually have no argument with them.
I don't think we should be. I don't know. I'm kind of torn as a Bama fan. I'm torn to say that we're over some of the teams. Like Tennessee did beat us. They beat us at home. At the end of the day, I think it's all going to play out in a wash. I think it's all going to like I said, we're going to get to the end of this at some point. So I'm not going to get too much into it. But Alabama, while we should be in the top 12, I just don't know where. So I'm not gonna be a homer and say we should just be up there. But I do think we should be up there. I just don't know where in the rankings, because I think all these SEC teams are close.
And me as a Georgia fan here, I'm going to make an argument for you. If you take the committee putting Illinois back in at 25, Alabama has tied for the most wins against the current top 25.
Okay.
Their strength of schedule out of those top 9 teams is by far the best at 16th. And their strength of record is 7th, which is right where they are. So based off of resume, based off of who they played, based off the eye test, they're playing a lot better now than they were earlier in the year.
They are.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. All the teams with a loss up there in that top 10 have bad losses.
Yeah. The other thing that we look at, guys, is we look at Vegas odds, and I'm going to tell you, all these SEC teams, if you put these SEC teams against other people in the Vegas money lines, you're going to be surprised. SEC is going to be favored in almost all of them. So,
hey, Tennessee doesn't have a bad loss, though, according to ESPN.
Well, that committee,
I know.
Exactly. That's
but
the
it's
thing.
a bad win.
That committee, it's a good win for one and a bad loss for another.
Yeah, but okay.
And, I mean, you were talking about, the comparing off of, power rank and stuff, Brandon. I mean, like I said, since you're on the group chat, I mean, Indiana would be a 7-point dog or worse. It was like against 8 teams in the SEC right now. And there's only 2 teams that would be favored by more than 3 against. Mississippi State and Vanderbilt.
That is
I just want to cut in real quick.
Yeah.
I am enjoying watching these arguments go on in this chat. This is what I'm here for. Like, everybody's
good
arguing with everybody and their points, and it's what we're doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
my kind of chat.
We're trying to make our valid points, but let's be real. The SEC has beat the hell out of each other this year. Georgia lost to Ole Miss and Alabama, but beat Texas and Tennessee. Tennessee beat Alabama. It's just everybody's beat everybody. Georgia beat Tennessee, and then A&M and Texas still have to play. One of them are going to have to lose.
We're just bringing up the stats and facts and things that have gone on.
The beauty of it for me is that the SEC is a conference that can have that many good teams playing each other and
not play there.
Not throw in your 7th best team back into the rankings to make your top 4 look better.
And Lone Wolf.
Yeah, Hood. Sorry, I was a comment. Yeah, Hood. I watch Siski and McCready when I can. Dude has a lot of great information, a lot of great stories watching him.
Yeah. Lone Wolf, though, to answer your question, we don't want a third loss, but we don't really know what the playoff committee is going to do with the team that goes to the SEC title game and loses. We don't know yet. There's been comments and talk about not wanting to penalize people for going to the conference championship game, but this is still up in the air. It's anybody's guess what's going to happen. But we're going to get into that before we leave this segment, but we're going to keep going down the list, keep on track here. All right, Miami at 8.
All
right. All right,
I'll real quickly go through this. 54th in strength of schedule, 0 wins against the top team this year until the ACC championship game. So that's my argument for them. They lost to Georgia Tech in a game that they shouldn't have lost, and they very easily could have 4 losses this year. So I don't think they belong where they're at.
All right. Anybody got anything to add on that one? Pretty much cut and dry.
No.
So what I would like to do on these next 3 is, I know just these 3 in a nutshell, 9, 10, and 11. Just combine them together. Do you like the order they're in? Do you like the order they're in? And do you agree with where they're at, or do you think they should be a little further up? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough.
I mean, the order. It's.
I'm not putting Tennessee ahead of
I understand
Georgia.
why the order is what it is, but then again, you've done some other things as a committee in this ranking that then take that and like, well, you made it irrelevant here. Why does it matter here? But in all honesty, all 3 teams should be slid up in front of Indiana, Notre Dame, and Miami. Let's be honest.
Because the thing is the key is to this is the reason why I say that is Tennessee's the team out right now. They're the team that's getting the shaft.
First team out.
They're getting the shaft. So that was
the same place Georgia was last week.
100%.
And I'll say this: I'll give examples from both sides of the fence since I'm the Georgia guy. Georgia's got the number 1 strength of schedule, 3 wins against the top 25, and the number 2 strength of record, and they're sitting at number 10. Now, that's my argument for why they should be higher. The reason they should be where they're at, 2 of the teams, well, take Miami out, and the 2 teams ahead of them beat them on the field. And Ole Miss, I know there was weather involved. Both of them were on the road. But that Ole Miss loss was ugly. We did not play good football that game. And so I think Georgia deserves to be a playoff team without question. But you can't argue too much with where they're at based off the way that this committee has ranked people. So
that last comment got to me, bro. It got me in the fields from the tree turtles.
Yeah.
I can't even tree turtles. You didn't come in here swinging from left field, brother.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I mean, no other team in the nation has had to play more
like Tarzan, not using his hands.
No team in the nation has played more. Well, I'd have to look just to make sure. But Georgia, I mean, they played Texas on the road. They played Alabama on the road. They played Ole Miss on the road. They played Tennessee at home. That's 4 teams right there in the top 11, and 3 of them they played on the road. So,
So just to wrap up this segment, we're not going to go through the whole playoff rankings because we're just going to go to the top 12, and then the last team, one of the last team that's in is Boise State. Obviously, Boise State being the at-large bid. Is there anybody that we would put over Boise State in our minds right now outside of the Army? We've already played that out. If Army wins out, if they win out, I would see Army replacing Boise State as the at-large bid.
Army absolutely will.
If they win out. If you win out,
if they win out within a 4-week window, you have a win against number 6 Notre Dame and number 20 Tulane in a 4-week window.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, it's the right time of the. I know they don't play anybody really. I mean, it's Notre Dame's the only consistent rank they can depend on every year. And I guess Navy too, as of late. But if you're not going to play anybody worth a shit, except for once, play them at the end.
Yeah, that's true because it's all about recency bias. That's what's always been like that. Okay, so SMU. I don't consider SMU a team that's outside looking in just because if they beat Miami, they get the automatic qualifier, and that's game. That's game. And go ahead.
I was just going to say off of that, SMU and the ACC champion could be a big problem for those teams on the edge. And then you also have to look at the Big 12. I mean, with Georgia sitting at 10, Tennessee's at 11, and they're the first team out because of where Boise State's sitting at.
Yep.
They SMU wins, which Miami would fall out, but then you still have to crown a Big 12 champion, and they get an automatic bid too, which would then push the 10th team out, which would currently be Georgia. So there's still some chaos scenarios that could seriously play out here. Now, a lot of this will work itself out because these teams are like Ohio State, Indiana play this weekend. The winner of that will have to play Oregon. They'll have to play again. There's going to be some more shuffling to go. Whoever the SEC plays out to be, they'll have to play again. So there's still going to be a lot of shuffling to go here, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah,
it's fun to talk about.
And I will say this.
Honestly, I'll tell you right now, I'm sorry, random thought.
Yeah.
I thought about this off on today. If you're a Power 4 team, even if you win your conference, if you're not in the top 12 on your own merit, do you have any business in the playoff?
No.
I mean, do you deserve to be there? I get, okay, we can have the highest conference champion outside of the Power 4 to ensure one little guy at least gets in.
Yeah.
But what is a playoff? A playoff is to find the best.
Yes.
The absolute best. I don't care if it's, the all 12 teams are in the Big Ten. I want to know who is the best, not who won a watered-ass down conference, who snuck in here, who snuck in there, and got beat 57-12. I want to see good football games all the way through.
And we have seen this. We have seen this recently. As little as 2 years ago, we saw what a shitty football team looked like making it to the playoffs. We saw what that looked like. It was terrible.
But they beat a really good Michigan team.
Yeah, well, the ratings, that was one of the worst ratings of a national title game ever.
Michigan didn't have any data for them. They didn't envision TCU being an opponent.
Yeah, they didn't have the videotape on them.
Dallas.
Now, and I want to say this before we move on to our marquee matchups. Lone Wolf, I will tell you this. This is an opinion. It's a hot topic. But if Texas A&M beats Texas, Texas is out. They have no shot to get back in because they have no schedule to rest their laurels on. So if Texas A&M beats them,
they're out.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of
same with A&M. If say they lose this weekend to Auburn, which could happen, and then they beat Texas, they're both out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can happen, guys. So let's just that's what we're getting at. We don't even know what's going to happen. We don't know how the committee's going to play this out. We don't know what they're going to value in terms of conference losses and championship games. We have none of these answers. Jordan, you hit the nail on the head last week when you actually said it's going to take a couple cycles to figure out how we grade these things so we can say effectively, who's in and who's out. So, all right. Well, that was fun.
Irish Mace, I tell you what, I don't want all 12 SEC teams. I want the 12 best teams.
Best.
I mean, there ain't. SEC has maybe 5 teams worth putting in it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want to see Texas blow Mississippi State out again. I mean, if Notre Dame was a good team this year, I'd want them in there. They're going to be in there. I mean, I don't see why, unless they just lay an egg against USC. But I feel like Notre Dame, if they get down to that Final Four, they're going to get beat to death.
Yeah, I mean,
and I mean, I'm not picking on your team. I'm just saying, I saw, you're a Notre Dame fan, but I mean, just there's some teams that are probably going to get in this or have a good shot that probably shouldn't be there, and it'll show up on the field.
The Big Ten calls Alabama Bloomington South. So you realize the most senior team.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
The most senior team in college football history ever beat Alabama last year in a playoff game in overtime. Overtime. One of the worst Alabama teams in years. It took y'all to overtime to beat us. So I mean, that's the Big Ten's finest. So I don't know. And the last time we played the Big Ten, Michigan a couple years in the playoffs would beat the shit out of them. Beat Ohio State in 2020, beat the shit out of them. Wasn't even close the game. I mean, bottom line is I wouldn't necessarily call us Bloomington South. But whatever. Hey, we'd love to go to Bloomington and play Indiana. So, all right, now we're going to real football here. We're going to talk about our marquee matchups for the week. And the first one, it's the most pivotal game that we've come across in the last couple of years, probably decades. And with that said, it's number 25 Illinois at Rutgers, and we've got an inside track on this game. We've got a guy who's going to be there on the field live. He's a field storming expert. This guy
ripping that Illinois orange.
This guy knows all about being on fields and storming the fields and tearing down goalposts, and he wants to be there for Rutgers, Illinois. And Tony, give us your breakdown on this.
Well, Illinois still sucks dick. That's the breaking news here. And Rutgers is going to beat their ass at home. I'm just going to say it this weekend. It's going to hurt Penn State's strength of schedule crap that they have going for them right now. So, yeah, I'm calling it right now. Rutgers is going to beat that ass. Illinois shouldn't be in top 25 anyways. This is a joke. It's
so the fighting Shianos are going to.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking them. I mean, hell, it's not like this isn't like some big brain pick. Yeah. I mean, this is Illinois we're talking about.
Can we all take a moment to just appreciate the fact that Shiano actually has Rutgers with a halfway decent record? The fact that they haven't had 0 win seasons with him is amazing, because Rutgers sucks.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not good either. That tells you how good Illinois is, to me. So, whatever.
All right, Tony. Now we're gonna get on to serious matters, and we're gonna talk about number 14 BYU at number 21 Arizona State. Break it down for us.
All right. Well, BYU coming off a big loss at home, as I predicted myself last week. You guys come back and listen to that. And Arizona's coming off, a big road win, as I predicted. Arizona State, not Arizona, but Arizona State, as I predicted last week also.
Good pick.
But now Arizona State, they control their own destiny now. They just have to win out. BYU's, they're trying to make sure they can still make it to the Big 12 championship. So I'll be the one to say this, because none of you probably will, but BYU's problem is they have too many white athletes. I knew it would catch up to them at some point.
God dang it.
But to go with Arizona State, I'll give them the edge in the trenches, probably on both sides of the ball. BYU, they can only hope that Jake Retzloff bounces back. Probably his worst game of the year.
What's his nickname, Tony?
Jake Retzloff?
What's his nickname?
I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, the BYU.
No, my God. Oh, God. Damn it, boys.
They better hope that he can bounce back from his worst game of the season last week against Kansas, which I predicted that game anyways myself. Kansas beating them, because I'm not surprised, because I'm not high on BYU. But really now it's a must-win situation for the Cougars. Arizona State, on the other hand, they've been playing good football. They've had for the last 5 games. They have the starting running back who returned last week, helped them out, actually come in and help them beat BYU. And they got Sam Levitt, they're leading the Sun Devils offense. I don't see BYU having enough gas in tank to win on the road, so I'm going to call it again. Arizona State's going to win again. And just listen to me. Listen to Big Papa here when he's talking about some of these teams out west that aren't that good. And when I say that they're not good, they're probably not good. So Arizona State's probably going to roll again.
All right. Riddle, anything to comment, add?
Just that the only offensive category that Arizona State has the advantage in is in the rushing category in the Big 12 ranks. Defensively, BYU's second in passing, second in points per game, 8th in rushing, but Arizona State is 6th in passing, 3rd in rushing, 7th in points per game. The big thing I saw, and we've talked about it before with BYU, they had 4 games decided by 1 score. And usually you're like, okay, they had some tough games. It was, take out the SMU game, which was one of their 1-score wins. The other wins were against teams with a combined record of 17-23. Oklahoma State, who is 3-7, Utah, who is 4-6, and then Baylor was the best team in a one-score game that they beat 6-4. So they've been sliding by, and last week Kansas caught up to them, and then I picked BYU. That was a good call by Tony there. Mm-hmm. But Arizona State has played 0 teams in the top 25. This will be their first top 25 opponent this year. I do think they are playing better football. And like Tony said, the winner will be in the driver's seat for an appearance in the Big 12 title game. So, and I too am picking Arizona State in this game.
All right, Big Red, what you got?
Yeah, give me the Sun Devils. I mean, Liv, it doesn't turn it over. 17 touchdowns to just 4 picks on the year. Look for Cam Scatterbo to have a big game.
Scatterbo. No Scatterbo.
Too much offensive line, too much Scatterbo. Give me the Sun Devils in the desert.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop on this boat and row the same direction as you guys. I got Arizona State. I feel like if this was in Utah, there might be a different story. Magic happens out there, but Arizona State's too much at home. So I got Arizona State. I'm jumping on that Tony bandwagon. All right. Before we get to America's game, we're gonna ask everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. If you haven't, please follow, like, share the live out. Like I said, we're trying to build a community up and get everybody in here. So appreciate everyone that does that for us. Thank you guys. Now we are moving on to number 19, America, at number 6, Notre Dame. So America, that's Army, America's team. At number 6, Notre Dame. Riddle, give us a breakdown on it.
Yeah, so this game is going to be played at Yankee Stadium up there in New York, and it is a night game, 6 o'clock kickoff. I just went through and put out, we've talked about both of these teams quite a bit this year, so I didn't really dive deep like I usually do, but I did bring up some key points. Army's strength of schedule is the second easiest in the nation to this point. Now, the rest of the way, it's the 8th toughest schedule the rest of the way. So they're going to have opportunity to prove themselves. Another question is Bryson Daly. Is he completely healthy? You know, with these service academies, they don't really release their injury reports, and you don't know if a guy's playing or not until right before or the day of the game. So if he's completely healthy, that's a big thing for Army. I mean, they have to have it, basically. Without him, I don't know if they stand a chance. Army is 3rd in the nation against the run, only allowing 82.6 yards per game. They're tied 1st in the nation in scoring defense, 10.3 points per game allowed, and they're 5th in the nation in total defense. Now, again, you can say a lot of that's based off their schedule. Notre Dame is 43rd in the nation against the run, and I think that's going to be a key point. We saw what they did to Navy. Navy had all them turnovers, and that's what dictated the score in that game. They're 43rd in the nation against the run. Army's 1st in the nation rushing the football, 334 yards per game. There's nobody within 60 yards of them in that category. So if they can establish the run, hang on to the football, do what they do, their defense is much better than Navy's defense, and we've said it all year. So there is an avenue where they can win this game. Riley Leonard is the key for Notre Dame. He's their 2nd leading rusher, has the most rushing touchdowns on their team. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's got 12 touchdowns passing, 64.7% passing completion. So he's going to be the key to this game. I'm picking Notre Dame to win this game. Would love to see Army win this game.
All right, Tony, anything to add?
Yeah. I mean, this game we talked about it some weeks ago now, but we have a yearly overrated Notre Dame team against America's team, so to speak. So that being said, I'm not going to waste much time even talking about Notre Dame, so I'm tired of talking about them. So I'm kind of talking about Army a little more. But Army, in my opinion, they do have a legit defense. They can slow down the offense. Let's not act like Notre Dame's got some great offense or some shit, because I really do think Army on that side of the ball, they do have a really good defense, and Navy didn't have that. Navy doesn't have a defense like that. They rely solely on the offense.
Yeah.
So this game really, and now it's gonna come down to Bryson Daly. Let's just say how it is. If the Knights, they need Daly to return, to the form he had prior to his injury, and like Riddle said, we don't know if he's healthy or not. We can only hope he's healthy. He's no longer even mentioned in the Heisman odds or the watch list. But Army needs him. They need him to play like one though this week. That's really what it's going to take. I'm not really worried about their defense, and they need to learn from Navy and realize, hey, we need to hang on to the ball too when we do run the ball. Don't give these bums chance after chance to just put the game away early. Everyone I think wants to see Army pull this one out because absolutely no one, unless you're an Irish fan, wants to see Notre Dame win because we don't want to see them get bitch slapped in the playoffs again, or no one wants to see it anymore. But with that said, I'm gonna be un-American. I'm turning my American card for this one. I will say Notre Dame, but I'm not going to say Notre Dame's going to kick the dog shit out of them. I hope the Army can win. I just don't know if they can. So,
Jordan, what you got, brother?
I mean, I'll keep this short. Before the injury, Army was averaging right at 40 points a game. Since, of course, 1 week has been a bye week, but they are averaging 17. I'm going with Notre Dame from our records, straight up win standpoint. I really like this Army team at plus 15, especially if Daly is healthy. But I just couldn't pull the trigger on that. I think Army keeps it interesting late, but I think Notre Dame takes control at the end.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with y'all. I want Army to win something awful, but just like I said in the Navy game, I think Notre Dame's line play, those big, heavy hog mollies up front, they're just bigger and stronger than the Army guys, and I think that'll be too much in the long run to overcome. And the thing about Notre Dame, they do have an advantage. Like Navy needed to go in there and kind of catch them off guard, and they kind of did. They were moving the ball on Notre Dame. If you remember that Navy game early on, they just kept fumbling the ball away. They've now played against that style of offense, so Notre Dame knows what to expect, and I think Army will not surprise them nearly as bad as Navy did. So Notre Dame wins that game. So,
well, and Army doesn't mix in the pass wrinkle nearly as much as Navy does.
Yeah.
Navy's kind of running that new spread triple option.
Yeah. All right, now we're gonna get on to this is the marquee matchup, and I can't believe it's an early game, but we're gonna jump right into
that's Big Ten football.
Yeah, number 5 Indiana at number 2 Ohio State. Battle for bragging rights and not much else. All right, here we go. Jordan, break it down for me.
Man, there's nothing to break down. We've beat these two teams to death over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we all know Indiana feel-good story of the year. Ohio State, the best roster money can buy. Just the fact
Thank you for following.
of seeing how much Indiana struggled at home with a bad Michigan team. I just don't see them getting a win here against a good Ohio State team. I don't know that Ohio State's elite, but they're on that good, great level. I think Ohio State wins it. I think they win it convincingly.
Okay. Kippy wanted me to tell you that Ohio State did lose their center today, which obviously that's a big loss.
Honestly enough,
it's big.
The center, your center is the one position in football. When you lose, you'll never see a line change for, and it should. I mean, your center touches the ball every single offensive play.
Yeah. So, all right, Riddle, what do you got with this one?
Yeah, my notes for this one aren't very much. The winner of this is going to go to the Big Ten championship game against Oregon, barring monumental upsets by Purdue or Michigan in the last week of the season. Big Ten ranks, both of these teams are up near the top in everything on the offensive and defensive side. The fun thing that I looked up in this one, it was while we were talking before we went live. Ohio State has won 29 straight games against Indiana. Indiana's last win against Ohio State was October the 8th of 1988. I was not born yet.
I'm surprised they won one.
Ohio State leads the series 80-12 and 5 ties. Since 1952, Ohio State has won 60 football games against Indiana. Indiana has won 2 in 87 and 88. And there was 2 ties. Congratulations to Indiana on your first 10-win season, but you will not be getting that 11th win this weekend. I've got Ohio State in this one.
All right, Tony.
Yep.
Indiana.
Playoff implications, both teams. You got a basketball school in Indiana, against I feel like Ohio State's almost like the Dallas Cowboys of college football in terms of choking recently and spending the money the way they do. Really, I'm just going to say I really need Rourke to show up and have the game of his life this week for Indiana. He needs to put that last game, that was a terrible game he played, really below his standards anyways, against Michigan behind him. Move on and use his best games toward Ohio State, because if he plays the way he did against Michigan, they don't have a shot in hell of beating the Buckeyes at Ohio State. It's just not going to happen, no matter how much people like to see it. But nothing more, could make me happy or please me more to see Signetti, walk across the field after the game to shake hands and console a crying Ryan Day. I would like to see that because he's probably one of the biggest fucking babies in college football besides old boy at LSU, Kelly. So I say this to Hoosiers football: if you don't have anyone to play for me. Now, but also I do say this: there is a part of me that wants Indiana to lose because I know it would help the Vols' cause, regardless. But there's still a part of me that does want to see Ohio State lose. I just don't know if it's going to happen. So, because I want to see Ohio State, their fans suffer misery like I do on a yearly basis. But I don't know if it's going to happen this Saturday. But I hope it does. But I'm going to roll with Ohio State to win this one. I don't think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. And I know someone mentioned in chat that Ohio State wouldn't score 27. Well, hell, I'd hope not, because they scored 27. I don't think Indiana's going to win. So it's going to be a slobber knocker. It's going to have to be. It's going to be like a low scoring game.
All right. Like so much of my soul wants to just say, fuck it, let's go Indiana. If there's one thing I know about Signetti, he's got balls the size of damn Jordan's head, and he drags them around in a wheelbarrow. But
that's called never mind.
Yeah. but Ohio State's only loss is by 1 point to a team that's undefeated in the Big Ten. They win the games they're supposed to win. If this was in Indiana, I'd be on the bandwagon. I'd be the Pat McAfee throwing up the damn title belt. Let's go. Throw up my Signetti towel. But the fact that it is in Ohio State, anybody that's watched this show enough they know how I feel about road games and conference. It's a big deal to go to a conference opponent stadium and win a game. It's a big deal, especially as a place as rowdy as Ohio State's going to be. The horseshoe's going to be crazy. So I'm going to go with Ohio State against my better judgment. But Ohio State, even though I do want Indiana to win. So, all right. Now we're going to jump into our top 25 selections. We're going to get in our top 25 selections. Hopefully we can pick some real good teams this week. Tony, starting off with you, number 20.
You don't want the records?
Oh, yeah. Records. Go ahead.
He's excited to get into it.
Yeah.
Tony and Jordan tied for the win last week. They went 15-4. Me and Chris
spread knowledge
went 14-5. And then Brandon, you went 12-7 last week. Overall standings, I'm in first, 82-20. Brandon, you're in second, 79-23. Chris technically is in third, 77-24, and then Tony and Jordan are tied at 77-25.
Okay. All right.
Look at us, made up ground.
24 UNLV at San Jose State. Tony.
Hell, I guess give me UNLV.
Riddle.
Yeah, I've got UNLV in this one. Spread 7.5 on this game, and I think San Jose State is a good team, and they are at home, so they could pull off the upset here. But yeah, I got UNLV.
Jordan.
Be careful in San Jose. I mean, they give Boise all they wanted for about 3 quarters last week. That being said, give me UNLV.
Me and Chris got UNLV clean sweep across the board. Top 25 pick, number 5 Indiana, Ohio State. Chris has Ohio State, so Ohio State is a clean sweep across the board. And I will note Ohio State's a 12.5 point favorite, which is huge for a team that's a top 5 matchup. That's a huge spread.
No, it's 13.5 now.
Oh, so it's went up. I had it the first start of the week, so okay. But anyway,
someone asked, we don't pick the spreads, huh? We don't. Someone wants us to pick the spreads.
No, we don't. We don't pick spreads. We just pick straight out winners. We do have a segment where we go over the spread, our top 3 picks of the week. All right, Wake Forest at number 8, Miami. Tony.
Hell, Miami better come out and win this game. Wake Forest, they're nothing special. So, I mean, this is a game to get right again after that lackluster performance they put on at Georgia Tech. Even though Georgia Tech does give them hell, but just go with Miami. They got to.
All right, Riddle.
This Wake Forest team, Claiborne, the running back, he's got 919 yards on the year and 11 touchdowns. I think Wake can score on Miami just like everybody else can, but they're 4-6 for a reason. Miami, Cam Ward's going to torch them this week, so I've got Miami.
Yeah, we got Miami, and I think Miami wins big and covers the spread. I think they win this one big. All right, number 9, Ole Miss.
You gonna let Jordan?
Jordan, I'm sitting
Miami.
here. Go ahead, Jordan.
Y'all covered it. No, I mean, I said Miami. Y'all covered everything.
All right, number 9, Ole Miss at Florida. Tony.
I'd love to see Florida win. I don't know. I do like Lagway though. I'm assuming he's about healthy now. I had Ole Miss circled. I guess I'll stick with Ole Miss.
All right.
I'll stick with Ole Miss.
Yeah, this Florida team, I do think they've been playing their best football the last few weeks. They are getting better every week. But this Ole Miss team, they have a front 7 that's nasty, and they can get after it. And we know what their offense can do. I've got Ole Miss in this one.
Jordan.
I tried to tell y'all last week. You got to watch them Gators in the swamp.
Yeah, but this ain't LSU.
Nobody wanted to listen. That being said, Ole Miss has a lot still on the table to play for. At 10.5, Florida can keep it inside that. But I'm going to roll with Ole Miss on this one.
All right. Me and Chris both have Ole Miss, so another sweep across the board there. So number 13, SMU at Virginia, Tony.
Maroa, hell, SMU.
Riddle.
Give me the safe pick.
Yeah, I've got SMU in this one. I think Virginia's decent, but SMU is going to win this one. Like Jordan said about Ole Miss, SMU's still playing for a lot right now. So
yeah, inspired football. Jordan, who you got?
Yeah, the Pony Express. Give me the Mustangs.
Yeah, we both got Pony Express too. So, Tony, you already picked your favorite, number 25, Illinois at Rutgers. So he picked Rutgers. The spread is interesting on this game. So the spread is interesting. Riddle, who you got?
Yeah, so Rutgers was a favorite earlier in this week in this game. And then the playoff rankings came out. And now it's back to Illinois as a 1-point favorite. Man, this Rutgers team, they're 6-4, but they've been up and down. They've had some bad games. They've had some bad outings, but they've looked good at times too. I'm going to take Rutgers in this one at home.
There we go.
To finally do Tony a favor and rid the top 25 of Illinois forever.
Okay. No, they'll bring him back.
They
got to make Penn State look good.
Nah, not this year. Jordan, what you got?
I mean, this is a game that, I mean, who really wants to pick and or watch this?
Who cares?
That being said, at home, give me Rutgers.
All right, Chris took Rutgers. I'm taking Illinois. I'm taking Luke Altmaier. I think some days he sucks. Some days he's great. I'm just hoping this week's a great week. I mean, that's just
You're just hoping Illinois wins, so Tony still has something to do next
you
week.
damn right. You damn right. We need this to win. This has been the top segment of our podcast year right here. It's the Illinois segment with Tony Pardo. All right. All right. So that being said, looking at the list here, UMass at Georgia. Is there any question to go over this one? I mean, does anybody have UMass? Okay.
We can do the spread. Georgia covers spread.
Okay.
Austin, are you happy? Georgia covers the spread.
Yeah,
Go
Georgia
ahead.
covers the spread at UMass. All right, another one, UTEP at Tennessee. Any need to go over this?
Tennessee beating the dog shit, UTEP. We win by 50 plus.
50. The Vols by
There's
50.
another spread pick.
The
Easy money.
fighting Bobby Hills.
Easy, buddy.
The fighting Bobby Hills, Tennessee by 50. All right, here's one. Kentucky at number 3, Texas. The spread's not quite as much. It's 21, give or take, depending on when you get it. Kippy said UTEP in the Tennessee game. All right, Tony.
Ohio State big.
Town of El Paso.
Who you got? Who you got in Kentucky, Texas?
Kentucky's falling apart. They pretty much, I don't know, they just fell off the fucking cliff
Yeah.
since that Ole Miss game pretty much. Texas, I don't know. You know what? I'll say Texas probably routs them. I forgot what the spread was. It's about 2 touchdowns, I think.
20 and a half.
Oof.
Yeah. It was big.
Yeah. So,
Come on,
yeah,
Kippy, pick
Texas blowout. Texas blowout. Let's go.
Riddle.
Yeah, I got Texas winning. Kentucky did play Georgia good. Their lone SEC win is against Ole Miss. But yeah, I don't see them hanging with Texas. I'm not sure that Texas covers that spread though. But yeah, give me Texas.
Okay. All right. Cool. Jordan, who you got?
Yeah, give me Texas and Kentucky's farthest trip west since the 1950s.
Hell
What? God dang. All right.
That is the farthest west Kentucky has ever traveled. It was Austin, Texas. They've done it twice. Once, I think, was like in the 50s.
That
Sounds
is
like a blowout.
That is an interesting stat because wow. Talk about a team that doesn't get around. All right. Well, we both got Texas as well.
They
So
get passed around the league too much.
number 4, Penn State. Number 4, Penn State at Minnesota.
Unfortunately, I guess I got to say Penn State. Minnesota's not very good. I wish Minnesota could shock them, but I just don't see it happening. So give me Penn State, unfortunately.
Right. Riddle.
You know, there was a couple weeks ago we were talking about PJ and rowing the boat. It was when Illinois and Minnesota played. And Tony, you took Illinois in that game, and Illinois was ranked. And but the spread on this is 12.5. Do I think there's an avenue where Minnesota could win this game at home? I do. Do I think Minnesota's going to win at home? I don't, and the reason is because of Tony's boy. They've got the best tight end in the nation. Warren's a stud.
He's a beast.
And that's a huge safety net for Aller and those guys. So yeah, I got Penn State winning this one.
Jordan, what you got, brother?
I'm not a believer. Give me the Golden Gophers at home Saturday afternoon.
I don't hate that pick at all.
Hey, Paper Tiger is going down.
So
Hey,
Chris,
Kippy, I think it's the first time you and Kippy agreed on something.
yeah, Chris has Penn State. I'm going to tell you this, Jordan. I wanted to row the boat again, but this is a game that Franklin's supposed to win, and he's going to win it. He wins those games for some reason. He wins those games. This is not a big game, so I've got Penn State winning this game.
But I think you saying that might be a reason that they slip up because they're not playing for a chance to go to the Big Ten championship game. This could be a game that they're just like, hey, let's just go out here and take care of business. And I'm telling you right now, Minnesota could make this game very interesting.
But
like we come through with that mentality.
Like we said, though, if Penn State loses, they're out. They're out of the playoffs. They're out of the playoffs 100%. if they lose this game because their schedule does not. It's not conducive enough. They can't lose up to Minnesota. There's just no way.
They can't keep riding Ohio State.
Yeah. All right. Here's a fun one. This is a fun one. This is Tony's second team, number 16. I'm sorry, his third team, number 16, Colorado at Kansas. Because Arizona.
It's in the bag. They're covering whatever spread you got. Colorado. Good. I mean, they obviously have the Heisman probably winner on their team. But unlike Genty's like the MVP of Boise State. Hunter's still not the MVP of Colorado. Because obviously Shador makes that team go. So that being said, hell, it's going to be Kansas. Kansas returned. They are the team that was supposed to be here at the beginning of the season. I said it the last couple of weeks now. And y'all laughed at me. It's gonna happen again. Colorado's O-line is suspect at best. Don't really have much of a run game. They literally rely on Shador, and all they do is throw streaks and shit downfield. It's gonna catch up to him away against Kansas, and Deion's gonna have a big L. Hey, but Hunter still got that Heisman.
Lord.
He'll still play well. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick.
That's the Pardo, baby.
But you say all they do is rely on Shador. Well, Shador's thrown for 3,222 yards.
That don't matter. It's how it happens.
I don't have Kansas winning this game. I've got Colorado.
You'd be wrong again. 2 weeks in a row or 3 weeks in a row now. You're not gonna listen, I guess. All right.
Jordan, what you got, brother?
This game could get exciting.
It could.
We'll touch on that a little later, but honestly, I think Kansas is starting to click at the right time.
I do think.
Give me the Jayhawks in Lawrence.
Oh, Rock Chalk, baby, Rock Chalk. Hey, Riddle, real quick, put down Arizona State for Chris. Arizona State for Chris. That was the one we didn't get. And me and him both are picking prime time. They're going to put it together. They're going to play for the Big 12 title and maybe a shot at the playoffs, which would be a huge turnaround for a team that was pretty much dog shit before he got there. Don't always agree on his methods, but it's obviously working because he's turned the program around in a relatively quick pace from a team that had nothing. So, and I hate admitting that. We're not going to even talk about, does anybody pick the Citadel? There's not even a line for it. So
Citadel or Wofford.
Or Wofford against South Carolina. If there's no line, I don't even know why we talk about it. But
there's no line.
Okay. All right. Army at Notre Dame. We've kind of all went ahead and made our picks there. Chris said, fuck everybody on this panel. He's rolling with America. He's America first. He's got his flag flying in the back of his truck. He's got a 12-pack of beer. What? I hope so too. I hope so. That would be the one pick where I would be like, Chris, I'll give you that one. And Chris is in the chat, by the way. Chris is in the chat. He's watching right now. So he says, Chris says, give him fucking America. I could picture Chris coming out here. Like, if he was coming out to a table to announce his pick, I imagine him old school, stone cold, glass breaking, walking out with a damn cooler in his hand and with beer in it, and going, "I'm picking Army." That's what he's picking Army right now. So Army gets it. But
he comes out one of them styrofoam coolers from the gas station.
Hey man, as long as it's got beer in it. All right.
Old time.
Steel Reserve. Number 12, Boise State at Wyoming. Tony.
At Boise State. Give me Boise
You
State.
missed a game.
Oh, did I? Which one?
Yeah, Missouri.
I'll go back. I'll go back and get it. I'm sorry. Riddle. Boise State.
I got Boise State.
Okay. Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, Wyoming is kind of like my western half of the U.S. team. I kind of like to keep up with them some, but they're just not good this year. Boise.
We got both of us got Boise. I'm sorry. Number 23, Missouri at Mississippi State. This is another one of Tony's teams. If you notice a trend, Tony's teams are fun.
They are the Illinois of the SEC. As Missouri, they're dog shit. So with that, give me Mississippi State.
Oh my God, damn!
Yeah, give them to me.
That's brass balls picking Kansas. And
I need to get these teams out of top 25. Right. Shit's a joke. Get them out of here.
Riddle, who you got, brother?
So I don't know. I would have to go back and look. So don't quote me on this. But it's the first time in my memory that a team has lost and moved up in the rankings. And I think that was more of who lost around them.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at the other teams that are there that could have moved in, but it's still shocking that they lost. And it was a great game. Don't get me wrong. It was a great game. It was fun to watch. But Mississippi State is the worst team in the SEC, and I have Missouri winning this one.
All right. Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, boy, this is a stinker. and you never really think you'd say that with a 7-3 team involved, but I mean, good Lord, Missouri's awful. I mean, that's just mind blowing. I mean, I thought win against Oklahoma. Give me Mississippi State to get their first conference win of the season.
Give it to me.
All right. The
Bulldogs are barking in Starkville.
I've got to believe the talent. I've got to believe the talent gap is still there enough to get Missouri over the hump. They played South Carolina, which is a very good team. They played them very well. Brady Cook being healthy makes a huge difference for that Missouri team. It's kind of like if you had Colorado without Shadur Sanders. I just don't think it's the same team. So with that said, I'm gonna assume Missouri is back on the right track. I think South Carolina is a very good football team, and I think Missouri did take them to the wire. So I'm gonna say Missouri. Chris has got Missouri as well. All right. So looking at the list, here's a hot topic here: Alabama at Oklahoma. Tony, what you got up there?
I mean, I like to see Alabama lose, but I'm going to take Alabama. I mean, Oklahoma is they're just bad. I mean, they're just bad. Defense, if they actually had an offense that could sustain drives and put it points consistently, a field goal here, touchdown there, they'd actually probably be a pretty good team, but they don't have that. So I'm going to take Bama.
All right, Riddle, who you got?
Yeah, this is the Alabama, and I have a feeling this one could get ugly.
God, I hope so. Jordan?
I will refrain. I will cover this one later.
I got Alabama. Chris has got Alabama. Frankly, the spread's a little worrisome. And the only reason I say it's worrisome is because I think we should be favored by more. But then again, whenever I think that, Alabama comes in, usually lays an egg or plays like shit. So it's kind of up in the air for me, but Alabama, obviously. All right. Number 15, Texas A&M at Auburn. The spread intrigues me on this one. So we're going to start with you, Tony.
Yeah, we're damn Eagle.
Oh,
A&M. I know y'all are high on them for whatever reason. I'm not smoking that crack pipe with you guys. So give me Auburn.
Le'Veon Moss is out. So Riddle.
I don't care. It's gonna be one of those games.
Moss has been out.
Yeah, I know.
I've not been high on A&M. I do think that Reed is going to be a really good quarterback in the future, but this line is at 2.5 for a reason. You know, we've seen it firsthand what it's like going to Auburn and trying to win on the Plains. Crazy things happen down there, and I have A&M winning this game, but it would not shock me at all if Auburn wins this football game.
Yeah, that's a good assessment. All right, go ahead, Jordan.
You know, offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. So I'm going to take the better defense in this game. Give me War Eagle at home.
War Eagle at home. All right. Me and
Wouldn't
Chris
shock me at all.
Me and Chris got the Aggies. I feel like they're too much for Auburn. Auburn is a very bad football team. They've been in a lot of games, but for some reason they do not have the ability to close them out. I don't know what the hell's wrong, because on paper they look really good, but when Vanderbilt went down there and beat them on the Plains, and I know Vanderbilt's a better team than what we all anticipated, but it's weird. That's a game Auburn usually wins, especially it being on the Plains. That's all I'm saying. This year is weird for Auburn. All right, final game, Iowa State at Utah. Tony, I know you love Iowa State too.
Another dog water team.
Yeah,
crazy.
Man.
Dog water. Unfortunately, I guess I'm going to roll with Iowa State. Utah, man, they got a lot of injuries. Unless Zach Wilson's little brother come in and carve him up like a turkey, about like what he was doing against Colorado's defense there that last Saturday for about a quarter. But yeah, Iowa State. Utah's got a lot of injuries. I don't think they keep up.
All right, Riddle.
It won't be a blowout. It'd be a decent game, I guess. their standards, whatever that is.
Riddle?
Iowa State's still playing for something. Mm-hmm. So Utah, they had the heartbreaker against BYU, and like Tony said, that they're fighting injuries. They played inspired against BYU, and they played a great game, and I'll give them credit for that. But I've got Iowa State winning this one.
All right, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, here we are again, another November, another what if for Utah. It should have been a magical year this year for them. Should have been a magical year last year. It's same old song and dance. I think Iowa State wins this and wins this comfortably on the road.
Me and Chris both have Iowa State close out a very lackluster set of picks. Wasn't much variance in all our picks. A few games here and there, but most of us are pretty much on the same page this week. All right. With that said, we're going to move on to one of our final segments of the evening, and that'll be UConn Cornelius's solid gold picks of the week. Jordan, give us your rank from last week, and then where you're at for the year.
Last week, 1 and 2, Georgia scores touchdown late, pushes that Tennessee over 11. SMU just flat out did not show up on defense against a bad Boston College team. That'll put us to 6 and 9 on the year. I still love every position we were on last week. SMU at 18.5, it closed up around 21. I think Tennessee closed down around plus. We were at plus 11 on Wednesday. It closed at around plus 8.5, plus 9, depending on where you were at. And then Colorado finished up about minus 14.5. We was at 11.5. This week, touched on this earlier. Lawrence, Kansas, Shadur Sanders, and Jalen Daniels. Give me the over 59. I think that game could be very exciting. With Daniels getting that Kansas offense going here late.
Pick. Yeah.
Let's take the over in that one and have fun with some early fireworks. Next will be my early morning game, 11 a.m. kickoff. Ohio State minus 13.5. Indiana's just going to be overpowered in this one. Give me Ohio State. Lastly, I told you I'd touch on this again. Alabama minus 13.5 in Norman. Alabama, I think, cruises. They're peaking here at the right time for them. Stumbled early, getting back to that Alabama form we're used to seeing here late. Give me the Tide cruising to an easy victory in Norman.
All right. So we're at that end. We're at the end of the night here for the podcast portion. We're going to wrap the podcast up, and because we have some people in the chat, we're going to stay and just kind of shoot the shit with you guys and talk some football. So with that said, thank you for listening this week. Weekend roundup on Lock, Loaded, and Goated. We'll be back here Saturday at 8:30 p.m. to review all the weekend madness and give honest feedback on the day's events. We look forward to seeing you there. Remember, you can find this podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast as we do this for you, and we love your feedback. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you all on Saturday.
See y'all.
Take care, guys. Thanks for hanging out.
So with that said, we still got some people in the chat. We want to sit here and, appreciate everyone that followed. Appreciate whenever they share the live. Appreciate all the likes. Now we're going to sit here and just shoot the shit with you guys. There's no agenda. We'll basically,
guys, hey, I'm going to get off here. I will join y'all in the chat, but it's 35 and I am fucking freezing.
Go ahead. All right.
I'm getting that shower.
Riddle, Tony, y'all good to answer from questions?
Oh, yeah. I was just looking at Jackson's comment there. It said, how about Minnesota winning the Natty? Sad Gophers fan. Hey, I think they did in like the 30s. They won 3 in a row. They were the last Division I team to win.
You don't remember that?
So we can still hang our hat on that. You know what? I got this big old book here. It's the Encyclopedia of College Football, and it's massive, and it covers those games in the 30s. I'd have to find them, but I can tell you every game that they played back then.
Shit. What about that Chris guy? Does that Chris guy in the chat got anything to comment and say? I see him sitting in there. He's in there. Yeah, I can see my little buddy.
Samuel P. Coolio, I did see. He said, "What championship Auburn winning this year?" Question mark. None. Not
No,
one.
No, we didn't say they're going to win
Hey,
championship.
fix the screen.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, this will be Auburn's championship week this Saturday when they beat A&M at home.
No, their championship. They're going to put all their eggs in the Alabama basket. They always do.
Well, yeah. Well, is it at Auburn this year?
No, it's at Alabama. That's the only reason why. It's,
no, that'll be a beatdown. That'll be a beat.
Well, Kippy, just from a Georgia fan, real fast, would love to see Missouri lose both of their games. That way, Georgia's in. But there's a ton of scenarios that we covered there on how Georgia can get in. They're in an unfortunate spot though because they don't control their destiny at all. Their SEC schedule's over with. The committee's got them 10th, and if I'm being honest with where the committee has them and the way they view them, they could end up in that 9 seed, and that's not really a place you want to be in. But we'll see how it plays out. Other SEC teams that potentially lose. Man, well, we know Texas and Texas A&M is going to lose, and then whoever plays in the SEC championship is going to lose. So there's still a lot that can happen and play out.
Yeah. But to answer your question, what team do I want to lose? I want Texas to lose because if they lose, they're out, and I want them to lose. So that's
Texas, Ole Miss. I have a Christmas list.
Yeah, Christmas list. Yeah.
I have a few.
Tony and Jordan need Alabama, Texas, and A&M to all lose to get into the SEC championship game.
Yeah, but I think from a playoff standpoint, that would
I'm
be
the playoffs. Really.
Hey guys, I actually think Florida has a legit shot at upsetting the Rebels. Oh, I think they have a shot with Lagway at quarterback. I think they have a shot with Lagway.
I'm telling you, Florida's been playing their best ball over the last few weeks, and I absolutely think they could win that football game. Ole Miss's defense is for real. They're one of the best in the nation, and I know they have a terrible loss to Kentucky. Hell, Georgia almost had a terrible loss to Kentucky. But everybody up there in that top 10 has a terrible loss somewhere. Yeah. So I just think Ole Miss's offense is going to be too much. And again, the beauty of this 12-team playoff is now we're here late in November, and all these teams are still trying to play for something. So there are no letdowns.
So let's see here. A couple of good questions. If Travis Hunter played in the SEC, do you think it would be the same player? Tony?
Oh, yeah. I think Travis Hunter is just a skilled fucking football player.
You think he plays both ways in the SEC and actually dominates?
I think if Deion's the coach, I don't know about the coaches, currently in there. I don't know if they would want him to put his body out there like that every play, but I think regardless of what he chose to do, he would be fucking pretty great at it.
Oh, I think he'd be good at it, but I'm saying would he play both ways in our league? It's a lot harder.
Why he's not in the SEC, right?
Why?
Because they wouldn't let him.
He was the number 1 rated player coming out of high school. He was the highest rated player. He was the number 1 overall recruit. Do you know why he went to Jacksonville State?
Deion.
Play both ways.
And he's going to play.
Because Deion was the only coach that told him he could do what he wanted to do.
Yeah. That's why I said if Deion's coach SEC, yeah.
I mean, I've heard media pundits say that he's not even the best receiver on Colorado's team. Now,
I don't know. It's hard to say watching last week's game.
I'm not saying he's the best athlete. He's the best athlete by far. I'm just saying, pure receiver. Like, if you were to take him and put him in a draft, would he be the number 1? Probably not. I mean,
no,
DB.
Probably not.
Well, we talked about this earlier in the year. When he goes to the NFL, he's not going to play both ways. He's going to be a defensive back. He's not going to be a receiver in the NFL. He's going to be a DB, and that's his future.
Yeah, and I guess that's the only thing. The SEC is the closest thing to the NFL outside of the NFL, and so it's kind of like, could he do it? Absolutely. How long would he last? I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to tell you, things are a little different. And when you cross the middle of the field against like a team like Georgia or Tennessee, there's a lot more size and speed coming at you than there is out in Colorado. So that's the only thing I'll say. The dude's an athlete, and he needs all the credentials that we can possibly give him because he's a stud. And he's like Tony said earlier, he's probably the only one I can remember ever doing it legitly and playing both sides of the ball legitly. Like every play. 100 plays a game.
Charles Woodson.
No,
He's no, not even close.
I knew you
I
were.
wish
I knew what you were
Troy-
doing.
I wish-
but-
not close.
I wish Troy was in here. I wish Troy was in here tonight for
not
that
even
comment.
close.
So Kippy
I
said,
told him for
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I told him for Christmas. You remember the starting lineup figures? They came out with a Heisman line back in the day, and I told him I was going to get on eBay and buy the Charles Woodson Heisman starting lineup figure because it comes with a mini Heisman.
Yeah.
That way he could know what it felt like to have a Heisman winner.
Oh my God. You should get it. Oh, fuck. So Kippy said Hunter's interception last week was a fluke. He got beat on the play.
I think they were in zone. I think the defender that came over was his help over the top. I think it was a very athletic interception of him to make that interception. But you got to pay close attention. Sometimes it looks like a guy's getting beat and they're in a zone where they're supposed to let the guy go because the safety over the top is supposed to have his help. So could be right though. Could be right.
Jackson Baynard says, do you think the current Panthers team at their worst would lose to a 2019 LSU team at their best?
So here's my thing on that. There is no college team that would ever beat the worst NFL team. It is such an astronomical leap because you got 134 D1 teams, then you got Division II, then you got Division III, and there's guys that come from all of these different divisions and go to the NFL. You only got 32 NFL teams. You got the best of the best in the NFL. So no, I don't think any college team. That LSU team, they had a great offense, one of the greatest offenses of all time, but they gave up a lot of points. Alabama put a lot of points up on them that year, and you cannot tell me that an NFL offense wouldn't just absolutely shred them to pieces. And not everybody on LSU's line that year it was NFL caliber. So an NFL defensive line, I don't give a damn who it is, would make Joe Burrow's life a living hell. There's no college team that can beat an NFL team. And
I think they'd put points up though. LSU would put points on the board.
They would get shut out, but they're not winning that football game.
Because you got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I mean, you're scoring. I mean, you're scoring because they've come in the league and took it by storm. But yeah, like Riddle said, I don't know necessarily if you're going to win the game. But there was a lot of talent on the LSU team. And the other caveat is Joe Brady was the offensive coordinator and was fantastic because that was a crazy NFL style offense that they ran. It was really good offense actually, but yeah, I don't think they would win, but I think they could definitely compete on offense. Out of the three, who is getting the most rushing yards in an SEC championship? Out of the three.
Out of you three.
Out of you three. It's getting the most rushing yards in an SEC championship. You talking about our teams?
Because you're talking about me. I'm going over 200 plus.
Like the three of you, who's getting the most rushing yards? I'm just going to tell you this. I just had back surgery. Tony's out of shape.
Yeah.
I'm out of shape.
My conditioning's not there anymore.
Well, yeah.
No.
out of the three of us, if we're running the football, between the three of us, we might get -3 yards.
Hell, I ran out of breath playing a pickup game basketball for 5 minutes. So if that tells you anything.
Now, I will tell you this. If I had some of them old linemen that some of these guys had back in the day, I might be able to get 2 yards, but
just ram it up there. You never know what might happen.
Everybody wants to talk about their glory days and how they used to could do it and how they used to did this and that and the other. But and in all reality, man, we're old and over the hill. We probably teach those boys how to drink.
Yeah,
we probably do that. We probably teach those young guns how to drink.
Yeah, because I guarantee they don't know how to drink.
No, dude. I only thought I knew how to drink when I was in college. I only thought I knew how to drink, and now it's different. It's different now. It's different now. Oh man, but now I think we're all just pretty much out of shape and over the hill. Over the hill. Yeah. Let's see here. Dart on a UGA or Bama or Tennessee would be undefeated. I think so. You put Jackson Dart on any one of those teams this year. Tennessee, Tony, we'll say, because you're a Tennessee fan, if Jackson Dart's your quarterback, I think y'all are undefeated.
Yeah, because he's more consistent at hitting shots. And Nico hasn't been consistent at hitting shots. And when he does hit his shots, the receivers got block hands all of a sudden. So we just haven't been able to put anything together.
And Riddle just sat back down, but the comment came in from Kippy. He says, Dart on UGA's team. Do you think they're undefeated? I think so. If you take away Carson Beck's interceptions, you're muted. You're muted.
So it's a tough question because you take Dart off of Ole Miss. The way that Ole Miss played that day against Georgia's offensive line, I don't care who was quarterback. I don't think he would have been able to do anything. Then the quarterback wasn't the issue against Alabama. Carson Beck set a career high in passing yards, hit a bomb to put us in the lead in the second half. The issue was the secondary and the defense, and then in that first half, we got such a deep hole we couldn't come back. So I don't know. That's tough for Georgia.
So let me ask this though, Riddle. I'm going to change this, change the way you look at it. If you on those games where Dart had like 3 picks, if you just had 1 pick, like in the Alabama game, instead of 3, if he had 1, I think Georgia wins that game. 1 pick, not 3. Because that's how we got our
Alabama game.
Yeah, that's how we got our lead.
Yeah,
that's how we got our lead. So
no, he made mistakes, but
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying. I just think Dart.
Does Dart go into Alabama and Tuscaloosa and play his best game? That is a raucous crowd.
I don't know that. Yeah,
I mean, I'm still going to give Tennessee the nod on loudest stadium
for the Roses, brother,
and atmosphere. But I mean, you're asking a lot of a kid, anybody, to go into Tuscaloosa at night against an inspired team and play their best football. So
I think
it's interesting.
Yeah,
I think Dart's better than Beck this year. Yes,
yeah.
I won't argue that.
I think he's been developed a lot better under Kiffin than because if you ask me if I had Dart on my team, do I think we would be undefeated? I think if Alabama had a quarterback that could throw the football and read the field at times, I think we would be a much better off team than what we are. Milroe, if he uses his legs like he's supposed to, but Milroe's got to just get that out of his mind. He's not Peyton Manning back there, so I don't know why we try to be that. But
I want to touch on this comment because it was fun. It made me smile. I said, out of the 3 of us,
we answered this while you walked away.
Who's getting the most rushing yards in the SEC championship game?
We said between the 3 of us, we might have -3 rushing yards. We said we're over age. And,
I was not a running back.
No.
I mean, if I played in the backfield, it would be a fullback. I was a tight end when I played. I had great hands.
Now the comments are getting good. What is one rule you would add to college football and take away from college football? Thank you for following.
One rule to add and one to going back to the players flopping and shit. Someone actually mentioned it was a Georgia and Tennessee game. Did you hear it, Riddle?
Yes.
They mentioned what I mentioned was if a player was to go down with a injury,
for the rest of the drive.
They sit out for that drive. I've been saying this shit.
Yeah, I know.
That should be it.
Hey, and that guy's getting paid to make that.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's my idea. I've been saying that.
The one rule that really just pops out to me, and it's not like a big rule, but to me, it made college football fantastic at times because we all saw them, and that was the overtime setup. I loved overtimes in college football, and now with the third one going to the 2-point conversions and one play, I think it took away from it. I wish they'd bring back the old way. I love those 7 overtime thrillers that we got to see back in the day, and I mean, once you got to the third one back in the day, you had to go for 2 anyway.
Yeah.
If you could score a touchdown, but I like the old overtime setup. I wish they'd bring that back.
Yeah, the one rule I wish they'd take away, and I'm not saying this because of safety. I'm saying because it's fucking stupid. Is targeting. It's stupid. It's the stupidest rule I've ever seen in my life. We penalize people for making formed tackles.
Doesn't make any sense.
I understand if you go and knock someone helmet to helmet.
Yeah.
If you want to say let's keep it safe, I'm good with that. But to sit there and stop the game every 15 minutes because someone makes a form tackle, with their shoulder, or someone's head flies back because they can't brace the hit, or you got an offensive player that literally lowers their helmet and just dives right into the defender.
That was what I was going to piggyback off of you, is what you were saying, is if you're going to have defensive targeting, you have to have offensive targeting, because how many times have we seen a running back or a guy hit a hole and literally just lower his head?
Yeah.
Quarterbacks do it too sometimes.
Yeah.
And receivers definitely have done it. Like, a lot of these targeting calls are because the offensive player lowered their head first while the guy was already in the middle of making his tackle.
That's why I like the NFL rules. You literally have to be launching and the crown of your helmet, and you're targeting the player's helmet. That's the NFL's rule for targeting. The college football has a lot of bullshit with their targeting.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of times the offensive guy, he's the one who's crouching, he's going down, and then defender's doing what he's supposed to do, and his face mask, or maybe the tip of the, not the crown of his helmet, but more near the top of the face mask hits the player in the head. Like, that's the damn offensive player's fault.
What's that little thing they wear on their helmets again? What's that little thing they wear in the NFL?
Oh, the Guardians.
Guardians.
Yeah,
Guardians. If we're that worried about safety in college football, we should just make everyone wear that Guardian. If we're that worried about it.
Had a comment just come in, and then there's a couple more I want to go back to, but this one,
with Florida State.
I wish Jordan was still on here.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody has kind of like their obvious one, which would be 97. But it says, in your opinion, who is the biggest Heisman snub of all time?
Oh yeah, that's probably the most egregious by far.
That one, but Marshall Faulk in 92, that was a big one. He had a big year, and I think if he played anywhere but where he played, being at San Diego State, he probably would have won it. And then,
well, I think that's gonna be Genty's. That's gonna be Genty's.
Adrian Peterson, 2004 was another big one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good answers there. Jackson, you asked how often do we go live? We go live every Wednesday at 8:30. Sometimes a little earlier. We get in here and just shoot the shit with people, and then every Saturday at 8:30. So at night.
And then James said if that bracket works out as it is now, it'll be Alabama and Georgia for the Natty like usual.
Dude, I'm telling you, Tony, Tennessee. Like I said, Tennessee is a better team this year they have a dog in this fight. But I'm just saying they will fucking throw the goddamn playoff committee out the fucking window if Alabama, Georgia make it again. They will throw it out the window. They'll be like, God damn it, we tried everything to not let this happen, and it did again. I mean, I'm telling you, they can't stand it.
That's their fault.
No, I know.
I pulled the bracket back up, and I know we discussed this earlier in the week, and we usually do it. But we didn't really go in depth on the matchups because it's more about the committee and stuff right now. But let's just hypothetically play this bracket out since it was brought up.
Yeah.
All right, first round matchup: Alabama at Notre Dame.
Alabama.
Tony.
Oh, Alabama.
Okay.
Notre Dame get bitch slapped again.
I don't even think that's a sweat.
Okay. The other first round on that side, BYU at Ohio State.
Oh my God, dude! It's like
Terrible
even
game.
if you hate Ohio State, BYU gets curb
Ohio
stomped.
State's a good team.
Yeah, they get curb stomped.
sure.
BYU gets curb stomped.
Yeah.
Tony's a Tennessee fan. Jackson, Tennessee.
It's I'm a Balls fan.
And then,
I said that day it's gonna be a bunch of TCU games again.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would be. It would be ugly, and then like Jordan said, this where conference bias really starts to play in, because me and Riddle talked about this. I don't think the Big 12 or the Pac-10 or whatever the hell they're going to be when they come back, I don't think they deserve it, but not a buy-in. They should maybe the highest rated team, group of 5, whatever. But anyway, go ahead. Next matchup.
Next first round matchup is Ole Miss at Indiana.
Ole Miss. I mean, speed, man. It's all about speed.
Invert your eyes, Kippy.
It's all about speed, man.
I think that would be one of the better matchups of the first round.
It would definitely be one of the better matchups.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be as bad as the first two you mentioned.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here you go. Here's your fourth one. Georgia at Penn State.
Oh God, that's Georgia, man. That's not even
Trash.
that's another trash game.
Absolute trash.
Throw that away. Real before you move on to the second round, SEC championship doesn't have as much significance. I think I gave these guys an article earlier today where it said the SEC is more relevant right now. That the fight for the SEC championship is more relevant than the playoffs. We all tended to agree with that because, in all honesty, there's a lot more riding on this, and we all agree. The 4 teams that make it from the SEC to the playoff are going to wreak havoc. Just be ready, because even Ohio State, you don't have to play just one SEC team or 2 SEC. You may have opportunities to play around 4 of those guys. Now, what's really going to be interesting is when they seed us all, so we're all on one half of the bracket and the Big Ten's on the other. That way, they don't have to play us because they don't want to be exposed. But with that said, yeah, we agree. All right, Riddle, second round.
All right, so now this is where your buys come in. Alabama and Oregon, neutral site.
No, I won't be a homer. I'll give Oregon the benefit of the doubt. We got 2 losses right now, and I know that we have our weaknesses. So I'll give Oregon the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say their speed is up there, and they're able to give us a run. Let's just say they win that game.
All right. Tony, you got the same thing?
It's fine. It's just hypothetical. It doesn't matter.
No, because I was kind of talking shit about Oregon, last 2 weeks, just because, I just don't think that they're that much better than teams that are below them. It'd be an interesting game. And I said the same thing about the Tennessee-Oregon matchup if that was to happen. And honestly, I don't know if I could pick a winner.
So,
but I guess if I was going to, no, that's hard.
I'd pick Alabama.
All right, there you go.
I don't know.
Thank you for the
run.
There.
So here you go. You had Ohio State destroying BYU, and in their second matchup, they would get number 4 Boise State.
Walking. We told you that spot was going to be easy. That's how easy it is. All right, so Ohio State wins. Okay, next.
The other side, you would have Ole Miss and Texas.
Ole Miss.
Unless you had Indiana, and then you'd have Indiana and Texas.
Ole Miss.
And then you would have Miami and Georgia.
Georgia. I mean, this is not hard.
Okay, so now based on whoever you had, Alabama or Oregon, you would have. Okay, so you would have Oregon, Ohio State for a potential third time.
On a neutral site field, I'm going to give it to Ohio State.
Which that would be the second matchup in the Big Ten.
I'd give it to Ohio State. Oh yeah, I mean, well, actually, you know what? They'd have to play again. Yeah, this would be the third time they play.
Mm-hmm. It'll be the second neutral site game.
Is Ohio State in it if they lose again?
Yes.
Are they in it? I guess because they lost twice to Oregon.
Yeah, I think they would.
Does it matter how they lose?
2 good losses.
Does it matter how they lose?
It just depends on how everything else plays out, and because you're going to have a 2-loss Ohio State team with a bunch of other 2-loss teams. All right, so then on the other side, so you'd have Oregon, Ohio State, potentially a third time on one side. On the other side, you'd have Ole Miss. You'd have Ole Miss and Georgia on a neutral site.
Right now, I'm gonna say, just because y'all played recently, I'll say Ole Miss for the benefit of the doubt. I think Georgia. I think if Carson Beck doesn't throw those turnovers, I think it's a different ball game. But let's say Ole Miss. Let's just say Ole Miss for shits and giggles. Lane Kiffin, the Fighting Kiffins.
So then in the national championship game, you would have Oregon and Ole Miss.
It's hard for me to see Ole Miss making it that far.
It is for me too. It really is for me, because there is something to be said about being there and having experience.
Right.
So give me. Let's just say I take Georgia, and then I take Georgia, and then I think Georgia beats Oregon for the national title. Because every time Kirby has a chance to prepare for the national title game against a team like Oregon, he beats the shit out of them, and I don't even think it's going to be close. I don't think it'll be close.
I mean, that 11 seed, like this bracket, I said it when it came out that Georgia was sitting in a good spot with the matchups that they would have. So
yeah, 100%. Let's see here. Let's see, not risk the playoffs. So that brings up a good question. Do you think we're going to get to a point, guys? And I'm just asking an honest question. Do you think we get to a point where you're in the SEC And can you decline an invitation to the SEC title game?
The SEC won't allow it.
No. They just have to do away with it. Conference title.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, Sankey would just get away. If it's going to penalize his teams, he'll just get away with it. And whoever has the best record at the end of the year, based off of tiebreakers, would be your SEC champion.
See, that would just be crap. You know what I mean? That'd be a shit championship. Yep. But I do think if they punish people for making the SEC title game, I do think there'll be some merit.
Which this year, this year with the losses that all those 2-loss teams sitting there, and 1 2-loss team is going to go to the SEC championship game at least. And with the way these rankings are, it's going to be very, very difficult for the loser of that SEC championship game to get in.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I hope, like I said, my biggest thing is I hope Texas doesn't even get to go, because I hope they lose, because all we're going to hear about is how Texas came into the league and took the league by storm, all that bullshit. Georgia was our saving grace. Georgia went in there and showed them who was boss and showed them we're not going to pussyfoot around with you. But with that said, if they win the title, they're going to have some legs to stand on. So I'm hoping Texas A&M just comes in and beats them, and then it's moot. But if not, I'd love to see Alabama go into the title game and beat them, and then them not even make the playoff. And then we go, oh shit, all that shit you talked all week or all year. But that's my opinion. But Brack said, Ole Miss, Florida. What are y'all thinking? We kind of touched on this earlier, but go ahead.
Yeah, we did. And I'm telling you right now, it would not surprise me at all if Florida pulls the upset in that game. And, and I said it earlier, and I do stand by it. It's late November, and usually this game wouldn't mean anything. Ole Miss would already be out. They wouldn't have a chance to go to the SEC championship game. They'd have no shot at making the playoffs, just based off of tiebreakers and where they're at in the standings. And this game wouldn't have mattered, and it could have been a letdown game. But with the new 12-team playoff, these games matter now. Like, these teams can't overlook these type of games.
Yeah.
The Swamp is a tough place to play, and Florida is playing really good football and seem to bring their best against the better teams. Wouldn't shock me if they won, but I still think Ole Miss just has too much to play for. And I'm telling you, that defense impressed the hell out of me, and I think they got one of the best front sevens in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss right now, I would pick Ole Miss. Yeah, because I think they are that good. But it wouldn't surprise me. Lagway is going to be a difference maker in this league. It's just a matter of when. I think he's already proven he has some capability. I know LSU is not obviously Ole Miss, but
Lagway was playing on one leg last week. So I am hoping that he can pull it off this week. Help the balls out.
Yeah.
From a playoff standpoint, fuck him.
He said, Jackson said, this is the best podcast out there. We appreciate it, man. We are on
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Like I said, and I appreciate it. We are absolutely here every week. And right now, we're just trying to do this 2 days a week, so it's not overwhelming. We haven't talked about it, but we may start doing a little bit odd, getting on here and there. Riddle, me and you've done this a couple times where we get on in the week and shoot the shit with you guys, because that's what we really enjoy doing, because we like talking football. But the podcast is every Wednesday and Saturday at 8:30. So yes, you're 100% always welcome, and we appreciate everyone that shows up, because we do like to be honest. If the one thing we're going to pride ourselves on, we all have our fandom, but we're probably going to be as realistic and as non-homer as you're probably going to find out there, because we all keep each other in check, and we all pretty honest football fans. So
appreciate that, G.
Yeah, G, we appreciate it too, man. Like I said, we appreciate it. We hope that we're giving the best analysis possible. Sometimes it's not even analysis. Sometimes just fucking pure emotion. But that's just,
I'm speaking from the heart.
That's what's fun about this, man. Riddle's your stat guy. Jordan's your one line zinger. And
Tony's raw emotion. He's just all emotion.
And I'm just a ringleader trying to keep the circus in line. That's about all it is. It's fun though. We really enjoy this.
Here's my thing. You can tell I am a diehard Georgia fan. I was born in Georgia. I've loved them my entire life, but I will call them out when there's things that are wrong, because I mean you can see it on the field. If you follow college football like we follow college football, you can see when these teams are making mistakes. And I know Brandon played football, and I played football briefly. I was more of a baseball guy growing up, but we watch the game, we study the game, we love the game, and I tell you right now, I've called Georgia out on a lot this year.
Oh, me too. I've called Alabama out. I mean, I've actually we've been criticized because we called people out. Like people have told us we're not fans, and I don't agree with that. I think you should be able to say what you need to say about your team.
True fans. You gotta be a true fan. You're not a true fan if you talk shit about your team.
I disagree with that. I disagree. I think that if you honestly just think your team's always the best there is, or you just give them let's just say the easy out and make excuses for them all the time, or you gotta love them no matter what. Do you think Nick Saban went into the locker room? Do you think Nick Saban went to the locker room and said, "Guys, you got to do your best no matter what. We appreciate what you did out there"? No. He pointed out the problem. So we all know this. The first step is admitting you have a problem. That's the first step. So Saban goes in there and says, "Hey guys, you blew this coverage right here. This is what we're going to do to get better at it. We're going to practice it until it's almost that you can't make the mistake of getting beat again." And I don't understand why that's so hard for fans to accept that. I don't understand it. I know Kirby's the same way. I know Heupel's the same way. I mean, I understand. You see the emotion on the sidelines. We understand how this game is played, and I believe every one of our coaches feel the same way. Just because you're a fan and you don't agree with that doesn't mean it's not happening. But
Jackson said since he subbed, we all have to be Minnesota Gopher fans. I can tell you what, I am a Minnesota Gopher fan this weekend.
Oh, dude. Yes. Hey, brother, you come on back. If they win on Saturday, you come on back at 8:30. We'll be the biggest Minnesota fans you ever seen. I'll put Minnesota in behind me. You'll have Minnesota flag flying behind me back here. I'll be rowing the boat with PJ Fleck. Oh, man. What SEC team gets the snub this year in the playoffs if all five went out?
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. It's impossible for all five of them to win out.
Yeah, it is impossible. I will say this. Alabama is a good football team, and they are peaking at the right time. Texas is still a really good team, though. They have a lot of depth. They're not a bad team. I know we give them shit for not playing anybody, but they're not terrible. Alabama could go in and win that game. Alabama could go in and lose that game. How the committee views, that's what we don't understand. How do they view the loser of that game? Because Alabama could certainly win against Texas. They could also lose against Texas. I think that's the key. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my thing on that is I honestly think that the loser of the SEC championship game gets left out. And I hate to say that, because if Alabama goes and beats Texas, which is very, very possible.
It is possible.
Texas just doesn't have the resume to back it up. They've had 2 top 25 matchups and lost them both. Yeah. And then if Alabama loses, that's a 3-loss team, and you're going to have a hard time justifying putting them in with 3 losses when you have a host of teams under them that have 2 losses, because it's obvious this committee values wins more than anything else. So,
and this is what we were talking about. Would a 2-loss Texas team be out? Probably.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think so, because
that means everybody behind them. Yeah, has got 2 losses.
They had 2 top 25 matchups. One of them was at home, and they got handled by Georgia. who the committee is obviously not very high on out of those 8-2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one would be the SEC championship game. And granted, I guess it would maybe depend on how they lose, but I don't think so. I mean, this committee has blew my mind calling the Arkansas a good win for them, but yet it's a bad loss for Tennessee.
Makes no sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's an absolute joke. That's an absolute joke. Now, if you want to say that how they beat Arkansas, and it wasn't even that impressive. So, but I'm just saying, if you want to say
it wasn't.
If you want to say style points, maybe I don't, but they haven't even said that. That's the problem. There's no transparency with this. They're inconsistent week to week. Riddle, you've brought that up many times. They're inconsistent week to week, and in all honesty, I don't know what they're going to do. So you guys think a 3-loss team is out? Riddle, SEC champion. Like if Alabama loses, they're out. If Alabama loses, should they probably be out? Yeah, sure, they should because they have 3 losses. Is the playoff committee going to punish? Because what they're doing is they're setting the precedents now. So that means Ohio State loses. Are they dropping back? Because now here's what I'm saying. They've got more losses than 2 other teams in their conference. In Indiana and Penn State, do you drop them out because they lost in the title game? Ranked. Yeah, I know.
The reason being is because of where this committee has those teams ranked. They obviously value those teams more than the SEC. And I know people are going to scream the SEC bias thing. I don't believe in SEC bias. I believe in product on the field and the games you play. And like I said, Georgia got handled by Ole Miss. I know it was in Oxford. I know it was in the rain. You can make all the excuses you want. One team went out there, did what they were supposed to. The other team didn't. It is what it is. I mean, we've got losses to Ole Miss and Alabama. They're both ranked above us. You can't argue that. You can bring up strength of schedule and everything else. Yeah, they had a hard schedule, but they got to win those games. I mean, look at Oregon. They now have 3 top 25 wins. So
I don't understand the whole SEC bias crap. I don't. Year after year after year after year, we go out and prove on the field that we are the superior conference in all facets of the game year after year. The one year that they won the title was 2014. That was a stacked Ohio State team. They went in 2020 and got manhandled. And then Michigan won it for them last year. Okay? Michigan took, I would say, a mediocre Alabama. They were good in their own way, but they were not a great Alabama team compared to some of the years we had in the past. We took them to overtime. I mean, it was, and if they didn't have those super seniors on their team, is there any doubt that they would have probably lost some of those games? No, they wouldn't have won. I don't know. The Big Ten won it last year. Take your championship, wear it with pride. We acknowledge that you beat everybody on the field. But damn, to sit there and question the SEC's bias all the time, it's not bias. Like Riddle said, it's proven. It's a proven commodity.
And like I said, Oregon and Ohio State are the elite in that conference.
Good. They're good right now.
Indiana having a great year. They beat who they were supposed to, how they're supposed to. They did struggle with Michigan a little bit, but they're in uncharted territory. They ain't never been here. And like I said, this weekend they got a chance to prove themselves. And I'm not knocking Indiana. They do have a weak schedule, but they're undefeated, and that this week means something.
They can prove themselves this week.
I'm hard on Penn State for past history. They don't win the big games. They can't beat Ohio State. I don't think James Franklin is a winner when it comes to those big games. I don't know what it is. They were at home. It was ripe for the taking this year, and they blew it. They didn't even have an offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
And outside of that, they haven't played a ranked team. So outside of what we saw against Ohio State, that's all we have to base them off of. Yeah. We're not knocking the Big Ten at all.
No.
But then they do throw Illinois back in there into the rankings with 3 losses.
Yeah, that was a joke.
Just to give Penn State and Oregon another top 25 win to try to justify what they did. They did the same thing with Missouri for Alabama, because
I disagree with that anyway. Yeah, I disagree with that.
Missouri lost and didn't move, and I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of this ranking, because Georgia was ranked 3rd and lost to Ole Miss and dropped to 12th.
Yeah.
They dropped 9 spots for a ranked loss. So,
And one more point on the SEC bias, and I'll leave it alone. But if you're putting your money, let's say you had your nest egg, your retirement fund, into a stock that represented each conference, and you wanted to put your money in the safest bet possible to ensure that you had a retirement when you grew old and were ready to stop, I guarantee every fucking person in the country would put it in the goddamn SEC. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. I'm telling you right now, everybody in there would put in the SEC. Okay. Yeah, I know it's going to grow there. Good deal. I mean, that's the way that's the end of the conversation in terms of the Superior Conference. I mean, everybody in the country would put their money behind the SEC.
I mean, just look at the teams that the Big Ten brought in this year to make their super conference. Washington's got the best record of those teams, sitting at 6-5.
Well, Oregon.
Well, yeah, I mean, outside of Oregon, because they're number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Washington's 6-5, USC's 5-5, UCLA's 4-6. I mean, it's.
And I mean, and to be fair, Texas is our number one team right now in the conference. But that just goes to show you, though, like, you got to remember, Texas has been prepping for this for a while. So Texas went out and was getting players from the Bamas and the Georgias of the world. Di Mitchell, Texas was already out here doing all this because they got beat by Alabama a couple years ago, and then they're like, we're going to come in, we're going to show Alabama last year. And they did. They came in here and showed us. They've been prepping for this for a little while. UCLA and USC had no clue what they were getting into. We knew that. Oregon's got Phil Knight money, and they're right. A lot of people argued last week that Oregon has money to blow. Phil Knight has said he will bet the farm.
Yep. They got a really good coach too. I am a big fan of Dan Lanning.
Oh, I am too, 100%. I mean, and I would have loved to have had Dan Lanning at Alabama, but I mean, people got to get realistic. No, he was not leaving that job. Dan is smart. Mm-hmm. Dan's smart. If Georgia's job came open tomorrow, I still don't think Dan Lanning leaves. And the reason I say that is because he has seen all these coaches come and go. A lot of people do not have the scenario that he has up there at Oregon. Mm-hmm. And I think he's in a really good spot right now. SEC is it's a dog eat dog world.
Yeah, chew you up, spit you out if you don't do good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of coaches that are very safe. There's a couple of coaches that are very safe in the SEC. Very safe. I want y'all to remember this. It wasn't a couple of weeks ago we were talking about damn Lane Kiffin maybe going to Florida. I mean, we literally were talking about that. Not because he was bad. We didn't say it because he was bad. We said he might go to Florida. Because who was it they lost to? Who was it Ole Miss lost to?
They had the Kentucky loss.
Yeah, it was a Kentucky loss, and we were like, hey, he may hightail it and run to Florida. He still might. Not this year, obviously, because Napier's staying, but I'm just saying, man, it's crazy. I mean, there's a lot of good coaches in the SEC right now.
But it's like you said, Ole Miss.
Go ahead.
Ole Miss just doesn't realize how good they have it with him and where they came from.
They need to just stop, because I'm going to tell you right now, this ain't the 60s. And anyone that's ever been to Mississippi, Riddle, I know you have, it's a dump. Oxford may be the most beautiful damn place in the whole world.
I'll give them the credit, though. It's one of the best tailgating experiences you could ever go to.
It might be, Riddle. It might be. But you know what else? Everything else in Mississippi sucks. It sucks.
Starkville is the asshole of the SEC.
It sucks. And like I said, I don't mean this to sound any kind of, because Alabama, outside of a certain few areas, Alabama sucks. I mean, there's just not a lot of stuff down there. Tennessee's got its sucky parts too. Georgia, all these places have their sucky. We're in the South. There's some shitty places in every state we go to. The difference is Ole Miss hasn't been relevant since the 60s. They've had a couple of years here and there, but they haven't been relevant. They cheated in 2015, 2016 to get where they got. But I mean, they have been relevant in many, many, many years. And because of that, they're hungry. They want to win, but I don't think they realize, like you said, what they've got. I don't think they realize it. They think maybe because they're going to spend all this money. And I'm asking this question because I know how the boosters think. People think that there's an endless pocketbook, and the people that think that are going to be sorely mistaken, and they're going to be in for a rude awakening. People are not going to continue to drop checks for losers. When you ask
Yeah,
yourself,
you
go
were,
ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
you were talking about. I thought you were done.
No, that's fine.
Talking about the Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They started 4-0, lost their SEC opener to Kentucky 20-17, beat South Carolina 27-3, which is looking like a pretty good win because it was at South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turned around and went to LSU, lost by 3 there. So both of their losses are by 3 points. And then they beat Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Georgia. And now they've got Florida this weekend.
And LSU, they shouldn't have lost LSU. They shouldn't have lost Kentucky, but
fell off.
Yeah, but yeah, it's an interesting. It's going to be an interesting year. Going to be an interesting finish. I'm excited. I'm here for it. Like I said, me and Chris. I mean, like I said, we watched some of the games earlier this season. We were like, "Hey, ain't no damn way we're going to playoffs." Now, I mean, we have a shot. So
it's kind of Milroe's MO though. Starts off really slow, really rocky.
He's goddamn.
Then gets better as the year goes on.
He drives me nuts, dude. He drives me nuts. I'm not saying. It's just he went through a three game stretch where he refused to run the football. He refused. Vanderbilt. Forget the Tennessee loss. Vanderbilt. He refused to run. He still threw for 300 yards, but he refused to run. He refused. And I mean, hopefully somebody went down there and said, "Hey, dude, if you just run the fucking ball, we'll win these games." Because I got news for him. If he thinks him throwing for 300 yards a game is going to get him in an NFL team, he's crazy. What's going to get him in an NFL game is going to the playoffs and winning and showing some grit. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Well, boys, I think we're about wrapped up. No more questions are flowing in.
Yep.
So, guys, I appreciate everybody that was here. If you are still here, please like, follow, and subscribe. We appreciate everybody. You can find us on the podcast on all your major podcast avenues. And like I said, we will see all you guys next time, which will be Saturday, 8:30.